If you
Several
enjoyed
years
this
later,
video,
Chu Qianlan
smash that
finally
like button,
ascended
hit
aboard the
subscribe,
spacecraft he had
and
secretly
turn on
constructed.
post
Upon
notifications to
reflection,
join the family.
Forbes could no longer
See you in the
quantify his
next
immense
video.
wealth, and his legend permeated various high-tech industries. His Starseed Technology had risen to become the world's preeminent company, with its starry phone commanding the largest market share. More significantly, he had now set his sights on the cosmos. Kao Tong. Ever since the rise of Starseed Technology, I have encountered nothing but misfortune in the Dragon Kingdom. Gugu. Why is the starry phone incompatible with my Android system? Eagle Sauce. Starseed Technology. Where does he source his chip technology, and from whom did he acquire the lithography machine? Goose Factory. Why is it only my internet company that has been affected? Nace. It's over. That guy has ventured into the aerospace industry. Chu Qianlan. I merely read a bit more than you. There's no need for such astonishment. Chapter 1. To land ashore and first seek the one I desire. March 2007. Chu Qianlan. I've signed a contract with Tianhai Entertainment. On the road beside Shenzhen University, a youthful and radiant girl flashed a smile. Xinghai, you are truly remarkable. A handsome youth beside her praised. Chu Qianlan. I must debut as a star. I cannot engage in romance. At this, the youth was momentarily stunned and abruptly raised his head to gaze at her. What do you mean by that? Tianhai Company stipulates that after signing, I am not permitted to date. Henceforth, please refrain from speaking of our relationship publicly. Observing the girl's composed expression, the youth's face flushed crimson as he could not restrain his inquiry. If you cannot date, then what am I to you? You must realize how challenging it is for me to sign with an entertainment company. Why can't you consider my situation for once? Chu Qianlan. Once I become a renowned star, unperturbed by rumors, I will undoubtedly return to your side. For now, let it be. Do not refer to me as your girlfriend anymore. The girl fervently declared before turning towards the gates of Shenzhen Academy. The youth, Chu Qianlan, gazed at the departing Lin Xinghai, his face filled with reluctance. He could hardly believe that over a year of dedication had dissipated into thin air. Just as he contemplated pursuing the girl ahead, a shrill cry pierced the air. Quick, get out of the way! Chu Qianlan felt a jolt at his lower back, causing him to tumble sideways. Subsequently, his consciousness began to fade. Just before losing all awareness, he vaguely saw the beautiful girl turn to look at him. Lying on the ground, Chu Qianlan was unconscious, while a middle-aged woman, flustered, dismounted from her electric scooter to check his condition. Moments later, an ambulance rushed in and hurriedly departed. Originally from Jilin province in northeast China, Chu Qianlan had moved to Shenzhen to live after his father found success in Huiqiangbai, ultimately gaining admission to Shenzhen University. However, he now found his state quite bewildering. Within his consciousness, a torrent of unfamiliar memories surged forth. The harsh glow of fluorescent lights in a village repair shop, various mobile phone components on the workbench, and countless scenes that felt both alien and oddly familiar. When the influx of memories ceased, a sharp pain pierced Chu Qianlan's mind, compelling him to involuntarily open his eyes. In an instant, all his senses returned. The unpleasant scent of disinfectant, the blinding light, and the cacophony of noise rendered him exceedingly uncomfortable. Young man, how are you feeling? As Chu Qianlan gradually acclimated to his surroundings, he discerned the speaker, a middle-aged woman in her 40s, dressed in blue, her face etched with regret. Who are you, and where's this place? At that moment, Chu Qianlan felt somewhat disoriented. He was unaware of what had transpired, merely sensing a collision followed by a surge of chaotic memories, an awakening to find himself here. Young man, I am truly sorry. Last night, my electric scooter malfunctioned and struck you. The middle-aged woman recounted the incident with palpable remorse. Chu Qianlan, upon hearing the sequence of events, felt somewhat speechless. He had merely been standing on the sidewalk and had been struck by a very slow-moving electric scooter, resulting in his unconsciousness. Upon arriving at the hospital, it was determined he had only sustained a mild muscle strain, leaving the cause of his fainting unexplained. Sister, did that girl from yesterday not return? Chu Qianlan inquired, recalling the moment just before his loss of consciousness with a glimmer of hope. You mean that rather beautiful girl? She only stood at a distance for a while. By the time I finished calling 120, she had already left, the middle-aged woman reflected. Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan's heart sank completely. She had not even returned to check on him after he fainted. Such callousness was truly disheartening. In the beginning, when Chu Qianlan first entered Shenzhen University, he was captivated by Lin Xinghai. After several months of effort, he finally won her affection and made her his girlfriend. To please Lin Xinghai, he spent nearly all of his monthly allowance of 10,000 yuan on her. After more than a year of dedication, to receive such an outcome left Chu Qianlan utterly disheartened. At that moment, he felt a sense of relief, grateful to his parents for their prior admonitions not to flaunt his wealth at school. Otherwise, he would have squandered all his money on Lin Xinghai. Chu Qianlan's father had founded a knockoff phone company, which had seen good profits in recent years, yielding annual dividends. Although Chu Qianlan held only a 10 stake, he already possessed savings exceeding 5 million. As he pondered these thoughts, the middle-aged woman had already summoned a doctor. After a thorough examination, it was confirmed that Chu Qianlan's condition was not serious. A few days of rest would suffice, with no major issues. Young brother, I am truly sorry for causing you to be hospitalized. How about I give you some money? Seeing the middle-aged woman's expression of contrition, Chu Qianlan promptly waved his hand. Sister, there is no need for that. I am not seriously injured, and you have already covered the medical expenses. Let's leave it at that. He managed to muster a faint smile, though his heart felt somewhat heavy, compared to the sting of being abandoned by Lin Qingxue. This minor injury seemed trivial. After bidding farewell to the middle-aged woman, Chu Qianlan called a dormitory mate to request a leave of absence. Once the hospital room fell into tranquility, Chu Qianlan closed his eyes once more, embarking on the arduous task of untangling the unfamiliar memories that had surfaced. The proprietor of these memories, named Chu Hui, hailed from a realm on Earth. Chu Hui was but an ordinary individual with average academic prowess, who upon graduating from university opened a mobile phone repair shop in the county town. His daily routine consisted of indulging in video games and watching online content, occasionally repairing a few phones, which barely sufficed to sustain his livelihood. It was during a moment of curiosity, while venturing out to witness a meteor shower, that his memories abruptly ceased. The Earth depicted in his recollections, in terms of historical context and lifestyle, bore striking similarities to Blue Star. Chu Hui was born in 1985, with his memories ultimately ceasing in 2035. By that time, technology had advanced to an extent that was almost beyond Chu Qianlan's imagination. Autonomous driving was ubiquitous. Life had become inseparable from smartphones, and traversing outer space was no longer an insurmountable challenge. Based on Chu Hui's memories, the era in which Chu Qianlan now resided was characterized by the decline of feature phones and the impending rise of smartphones. The reason for using the evolution of mobile phones as a temporal marker lay in the fact that both Chu Hui and Chu Qianlan were intrinsically linked to the realm of mobile technology. Having devoted his life to repairing mobile phones, Chu Hui possessed an exceptional understanding of their structure and performance, as well as a comprehensive knowledge of the history of mobile phone development. Although Chu Qianlan was merely a student, his father's Xinghai Technology company, limited, engaged in the business of assembling feature phones. Upon acquiring Chu Hui's memories, a chill of apprehension coursed through Chu Qianlan's veins. Should feature phones decline, it was inevitable that his father's company would face dire consequences. Just as Chu Qianlan pondered how to navigate this predicament, his consciousness was suddenly thrust into a vast expanse. Chapter 2. The Library of Prophets. To Chu Qianlan's astonishment, he discovered that the space around him was filled with shelves brimming with books. Directly in front of him, an ancient tome floated, radiating a milky white glow that was both sacred and enigmatic. Curiously, Chu Qianlan reached out to grasp the ancient text. The moment his fingers brushed against it, the light enveloped his arm and surged swiftly into his being. Immediately, a stream of clear information manifested within his consciousness, as if it were intrinsic knowledge. According to the information, this space was the technological library of Mayastar, chronicling all scientific data pertaining to the civilization. Descendants of the Maya race, as well as those with similar genetic traits, could acquire knowledge from within its depths. Though Chu Qianlan was uncertain of the library's origins, he sensed a subtle connection to his home planet, Earth. Regardless, this represented an extraordinary opportunity for him. Following the guidance of the information, he opened the tome before him, which unveiled a multitude of meticulously categorized subjects. This book, the core of the library, was titled the Book of Technology. Not only could it reveal the locations of all the books within the library, but it could also project the contents of the corresponding texts. With a mere thought, the book in his hand transformed into simulated circuits, a course he needed to study this semester. However, the material within was considerably more profound than the textbooks issued by the Academy. After perusing the contents, Chu Qianlan was astonished to find that he could instantly memorize the information and comprehend its significance. This indicated a remarkable enhancement in his learning capabilities. As he contemplated how to utilize the technological library, the door to his hospital room suddenly swung open, and his roommate, Zhang Lei, hurriedly entered, carrying a selection of fruits and meals. Old 3, I've already informed the instructor that you're on leave. How on earth did you get hit by an electric bike? How are you feeling now? Zhang Lei asked with concern as he unpacked the food, suppressing his excitement. Chu Qianlan smiled and replied, I'm fine, just a muscle strain. A few days of rest will suffice. In their dormitory, Chu Qianlan ranked third, while Zhang Lei was second. The two shared a close bond, in contrast to their other two roommates with whom relations were somewhat less amicable. Thank goodness. Where's your girlfriend? Why hasn't she come to see you? Zhang Lei sighed in relief before inquiring. At this, Chu Qianlan paused with his chopsticks. We broke up yesterday. I'm single now. Broke up? Why? You treated her so well. And she just left you? Zhang Lei exclaimed in disbelief. She signed a contract with Xinghai Entertainment, which prohibits her from dating. Chu Qianlan replied with a self-deprecating smile. Zhang Lei slammed his chopsticks down in frustration. Lin Qingxue is too pragmatic. After all the effort you invested, she just walks away? I reckon she thinks she's above us now, that she's becoming a star. Let go. She made her choice, and it's pointless to force anything. Chu Qianlan shook his head, having relinquished any lingering hopes regarding Lin Qingxue. Zhang Lei had classes later in the afternoon and departed early. Chu Qianlan, feeling bored, closed his eyes and reflected on the memories of Chu Hui. The era of smartphones was imminent, and he needed to forge a path of his own. At the very least, he could not allow his father's Xinghai Technology to succumb to bankruptcy due to the decline of feature phones. However, the production of smartphones required substantial financial resources. Not only did Chu Qianlan lack capital, but even his father, Chu Tianxiong, was currently without the means to invest. Throughout the day, aside from visits from his three roommates in the evening, he devoted his time to studying the structure and components of smartphones. Whether it was the phone's operating system, screen, or processor, these were formidable challenges. Even with the technological library at his disposal, without foundational knowledge, he could not manually craft components or assemble a smartphone. The following afternoon, Chu Qianlan held a novel, engrossed in its pages. Yet, he was not truly reading a story. Rather, he was overlaying the library's book of technology with a narrative, allowing others to perceive him as merely indulging in fiction. The truth was that the technological book remained invisible to those around him, thus creating such an illusion. Suddenly, the door to the hospital room swung open, and a stylishly dressed woman in a red outfit, her high heels clicking on the floor, entered. From her designer handbag, she withdrew a stack of documents and flung them onto the table beside the bed. Chu Qianlan, I presume? I am Su Man, Lin Qingxue's manager, and there are some matters we need to discuss. Chu Qianlan set aside his novel and scrutinized the unexpected intruder. Su Man exuded a commanding presence, her wine-red nails tapping sharply against the documents. Lin Qingxue's signing with Xinghai Entertainment is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The company has plans for her to adopt a pure and innocent image. As you know, scandals are the bane of the entertainment industry. So, you want me to remain silent? Chu Qianlan does Li. The memory of Lin Qingxue's indifference as he collapsed lingered vividly in his mind. The emotions they once shared could only be considered a waste, and while he had no intention of retaliating, he certainly would not accommodate her again. Su Man raised an eyebrow, taken aback by Chu Qianlan's reaction. She casually pulled out a check and placed it atop the documents. A wise person would refrain from entangling themselves in meaningless matters. It's not easy for Qingxue to achieve her current status. If you truly care for her, caring for her means pretending we've never met. Chu Qian, Scott, Miss Su, emotions are not transactions, and I'm not a beggar. A mere 100,000 is insignificant. Lin Qingxue truly underestimates me. From now on, she's her own person, and I am mine. There will be no further connection. You may leave. Upon seeing the check for 100,000, Chu Qianlan felt a wave of incredulity wash over him. He spent 7,000 or 8,000 on Lin Qingxue each month. With that amount and living expenses, it was evident that his family would not suffer from the loss of 100,000. Su Man's expression shifted, and she tucked away the check with a hint of anger. Young man, do not be ungrateful. The influence of Xinghai Entertainment is beyond your imagination. If Lin Qingxue's reputation were to be tarnished, you would know the consequences. Chu Qianlan curled his lip, fixating on her as he replied, Are you threatening me, Miss Su? I have no intention of entering the entertainment industry, and your rules hold no sway over me. Su Man stared intently at Chu Qianlan, realizing for the first time that her usual tactics were ineffective against someone outside her realm. I hope you stand by your words. With that, she collected her check and, in her high heels, stormed out of the room. Old 3, who was that woman just now? Zhang Lei, entering right after Su Man's departure, was followed by their dorm leader, Lu Daocheng, and the fourth roommate, Du Ming. She is Su Man, Lin Qingxue's manager. What does she want? Lu Daocheng asked skeptically. Is she trying to convince you not to expose Lin Qingxue's secrets? You guessed correctly, Chu Qianlan admitted without hesitation. Everyone in Deep City Academy knows about your relationship. What good is it for them to expect you to keep quiet alone? Zhang Lei remarked, exasperated. Let them be, from now on. Lin Qingxue and I are on separate paths, and we will not interfere with each other, Chu Qianlan declared, then turned to the three. By the way, do you know what is currently the most profitable venture? Chapter 3. Crafting spaceships. Establishing plans. Chu Qianlan had already untangled the memories he had recently acquired and realized that the reason he could not produce smartphones, despite possessing the technological library, was due to a lack of funds. As long as he had financial resources, he could learn the core technologies of smartphones from the library and implement them in the future. Regarding the industrial foundation, he could also find corresponding solutions within the library's vast resources. However, Chu Qianlan is still a sophomore, and presenting an abundance of new technologies would undoubtedly raise suspicions. He certainly does not wish to attract attention, nor does he want to find himself placed under scrutiny. Lu Daocheng scratched his head and plopped down onto the hospital bed, saying, if we're talking about making money, the new bubble tea shop at the school gate has a queue every day. A cup of pearl milk tea sells for 5 yuan, while its cost is probably less than 1 yuan. Old 3, you're not considering starting a business, are you? Old 4, Du Ming, adjusted his glasses and added, I feel that the quickest way to earn money nowadays is definitely linked to industries related to the internet. Those companies only need a decent product, and with a bit of hype, their valuation skyrockets. However, this industry burns cash, without a few million in startup funds. It's nearly impossible to get started. Zhang Lei suddenly chuckled. If we're discussing profit, it has to be online gaming. If you lack funds, you can farm gold. If you have money, you can create cheats, establish a studio, or even develop your own game. Listening to their suggestions, Chu Qianlan's mind raced. While the technology in the library is advanced, those techniques cannot simply be deployed upon acquisition. To convince others, one must at least have theoretical and experimental data to support their claims. Nonetheless, he found Zhang Lei's idea of earning through gaming quite appealing. In the future of Earth, there are numerous popular games. If he can design even one, he could generate a continuous influx of funds to establish a laboratory for the technologies housed within the library. Noticing Chu Qianlan in deep thought, Lu Daocheng's eyes lit up with surprise. Old 3, you can't be seriously thinking about starting a business. Considering your living expenses, your family must be well off, so why go to such lengths? The family's wealth isn't something I've earned, and there are limitations to spending it. Chu Qianlan joked, glancing at the three. I plan to start a company, make a fortune, and build a spaceship to explore beyond Blue Star. Though it sounded like a jest, it was indeed his genuine aspiration. With access to the technological library and sufficient resources to support industrial standards, he believed he possessed the capability to realize this ambition. Zhang Lei exaggeratedly patted Chu Qianlan on the shoulder. All right, old 3, your ambition is more explosive than a rocket. But let us wait until you've earned some money before discussing spaceship construction. Clearly, they were skeptical of Chu Qianlan's words. In the following days, Chu Qianlan continued to delve into the vast array of knowledge within the technology library, though he now focused on software programming. Based on the memories of Chu Hui regarding Earth's development, he had formed initial ideas about entrepreneurship. After spending 5 days in hospital, he did not return to the academy, but instead had Zhang Lei and the others extend his leave while he headed straight for Futian District. He had not disclosed his hospitalization to his family, and the timing of his discharge coincided with Sunday, making it an opportune moment to visit home. Although he possessed over 5 million in cash, securing his father's support was indispensable for his entrepreneurial aspirations. As he pushed open the front door, the aroma of braised pork wafted from the living room. His mother, Li Yulian, glanced over and, upon recognizing Chu Qianlan, continued to busy herself with the cooking. Father, you didn't go to the company today? Chu Qianlan seated himself directly across from Chu Tianxiong. According to his father's usual routine, he would typically work at the company even on weekends. I just returned after a morning round, Chu Tianxiong replied, casting a glance at Chu Qianlan. Managing a large factory with over 1,000 employees in Huiqiangbai, his gaze bore an inherent authority. It's all right. My academic performance is, as you know. Chu Qianlan responded nonchalantly before directly stating his purpose. Dad, I would like to register a company. Could you send someone to assist me with the paperwork? Upon hearing this, Chu Tianxiong set down his newspaper, his piercing gaze scrutinizing Chu Qianlan like a hawk. What nonsense! You're only in your 2nd year. How can you think about starting a company instead of focusing on your studies? Chu Qianlan had anticipated this reaction and had prepared his response. The knowledge taught in school is quite manageable for me. I want to start a company to gain experience. It will benefit me after graduation. Do you have a clear goal? Which industry do you intend to pursue? How much registered capital are you considering? Chu Tianxiong bombarded him with questions, assessing whether he had adequate preparation. I'll start with 1 million yuan. If there's a need later, I can invest more. I plan to develop a game as a trial and I already have some ideas for promotion. Chu Qianlan had anticipated this scenario and answered effortlessly. However, he knew that the funds he would require would exceed 1 million, but he would not disclose that now, as it would surely lead to his father's disapproval. 1 million was merely a fraction of his assets. Losing it would not be detrimental. As his father, Chu Qianxiong would likely not object. At that moment, his mother, Li Yulian, brought the braised pork to the table and interjected, "It's good to have ambitions. After all, didn't you start your business in your early 20s? Chu Qianxiong frowned. The gaming industry consumes money like water. How many established companies have fallen? What makes you think you can succeed? He held up the newspaper he had just folded, displaying an article about a gaming company's bankruptcy. Learn from these lessons. You don't even have a team. How do you plan to compete? The game I want to develop is quite simple, and the research and development costs are not high. As for promotion, I have some ideas. While it may take effort, it won't consume too many resources, Chu Qianlan replied earnestly. Then tell me, how do you plan to promote the game? Chu Qianxiong shifted his focus from the game's content to the promotion aspect. Promotion is crucial for any game. A great game with low online engagement is still a failure. I plan to develop a set of internet cafe management software and offer it for free to cafes during the summer break for university students. Later, I will use this management software to promote my game. Sensing that Chu Qianxiong was intrigued, he elaborated, currently, most internet cafe management software costs over 1,000 yuan, and many require annual fees for usage rights. If I provide a functionally competitive software for free, I'm sure I can quickly capture a portion of the market. At that point, promoting the game will be effortless. You intend to forcibly tie your game with the internet cafe management software? Such an approach might easily provoke resentment. Chapter 4. Discussion Xinghai Technology. Having navigated the complexities of society for decades, Chu Qianxiong understood human nature well and immediately recognized the flaws in the proposal. I want to completely bind the internet cafe management software with the game. I'll merely place the download icon within it. Whether to download is entirely at the discretion of the cafe owner and the internet users, Chu Qianlan clarified. Chu Qianxiong stroked his chin and set the newspaper aside. Giving away internet cafe management software for free? What about your initial development costs? A glimmer of amusement flickered in Chu Qianlan's eyes. As long as he had skilled professionals, the development costs for the internet cafe management software would be minimal, only a few tens of thousands of yuan. Compared to promotion costs, this expenditure was negligible. Li Yulian sat down beside them with a bowl of soup. Her curiosity piqued. It sounds like a good idea, but why would cafe owners install your management software when many have already purchased their own? With unwavering confidence, Chu Qianlan replied, our management software is free, and with some practical features, it will undoubtedly attract a significant number of cafe owners. Since you are so confident, then go ahead and try it. I will have someone from the company contact you tomorrow. Seeing Chu Qianlan's confidence, Chu Qianxiong ceased his opposition. Since a decision has been made, let us eat. We can discuss other matters later. His mother concluded decisively. The atmosphere at the dining table became considerably more relaxed. Chu Qianlan indulged in the delectable braised pork prepared by his mother while contemplating his plans for the future. Dad, have you heard of the fruit foam? After dinner, Chu Qianlan once again sat across from Chu Qianxiong. In my line of work, how could I possibly be unaware of the fruit phone? Although I have yet to acquire the actual device, its introduction alone reveals that it is a groundbreaking product. A rare look of seriousness crossed Chu Qianxiong's face. Have you considered the potential impact on the Dragon Kingdom if such a product were to enter the market? Would the phones we currently manufacture not face a fatal blow? Chu Qianlan turned his gaze towards Chu Qianxiong. There will undoubtedly be an impact, but it is unlikely to be fatal. While the fruit phone is indeed impressive, its exorbitant price differentiates it from our counterfeit models. It is the high-end brands that will be the first to feel the repercussions, Chu Qianxiong replied. Dad, you overestimate those high-end phones. Their predicament may be worse than ours. At least our costs are low and prices affordable. Those large corporations must confront the challenge posed by the fruit phone. Surviving with half of their original market share would be a feat. Chu Qianlan gulped, as if discussing a trivial matter. Based on the memories he inherited from Chu Hui, he knew that few renowned mobile companies in the Dragon Kingdom had successfully entered the smart era. Had it not been for the emergence of several major players in the market 2 years later, China would likely have succumbed to a monopoly by foreign phone companies. If those large corporations cannot cope with the fruit phone, we need not worry, at least for the next few years. Our company's mobile assembly lines are operating at full capacity. A look of helplessness flashed across Chu Qianxiong's face. He too understood that the counterfeit phone market was not sustainable. It was beyond his control. This is just the madness of the last few years. Dad, have you not considered a contingency plan for the future? Chu Qianlan inquired with curiosity. Leaning back on the sofa, Chu Qianlan gently tapped his fingers on the armrest. Even if it's only for a few years, that still amounts to substantial profit. There's always a way out. We'll deal with future matters when they arise. Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan chose not to press further. He realized that even if his father recognized the risks, he would not easily alter his course. After all, the company's daily profits could aptly be described as a gold rush. Since deciding to establish his own company, Chu Qianlan was no longer concerned about Tianxiong Company. As long as he had a solid foundation and could utilize some of the technology from the library, he would undoubtedly carve out a niche in the mobile industry. By then, no matter how Tianxiong Limited transformed, the losses would not be significant. In the following 3 days, with the assistance of his father's administrative staff, Chu Qianlan successfully completed the registration of Xinghai Technology Company, Limited. In just 3 to 5 days, he would receive the company's business license. During this time, he also rented an office space exceeding 2,000 square meters in the Nanshan Technology Park. He did not enlist the help of Tianxiong Company's personnel for this, as he preferred to keep his father unaware of the fact that the rental alone cost over 200,000 yuan. It wasn't until Wednesday evening that Chu Qianlan leisurely returned to the dormitory at school. At that moment, Zhang Lei was engrossed in a game, the keyboard clattering energetically. Upon hearing the door open, he turned to see Chu Qianlan and immediately removed his headphones. Finally, you're back. Where have you been these past few days? The instructor even inquired if you'd gone missing. I was registering the company. Chu Qianlan tossed his keys onto the bed and retrieved the receipt for the business license from his bag. Here, Xinghai Technology Company, Limited. From now on, I'm a licensed individual. Lu Daocheng poked his head from the upper bunk, whistling in surprise. Wow, you really become a boss? What's the registered capital? 1 million, just to test the waters of the internet, Chu Qianlan admitted openly. His roommates were unaware of his family's specific business, but they were well aware of their affluent background. 1 million. Boss Chu, you're quite generous. Are you planning something grand? Lu Daocheng exclaimed. Now that the company is registered, have you figured out what you want to do? Du Ming asked with curiosity. I plan to develop a game, but that's for the future. I'll be going to job market on Saturday to recruit. Who among you is interested in joining me? Zhang Lei perked up at this, tossing his mouse on the table. I'm in. I want to follow you, third brother, and expand my horizons. Who knows? Maybe I'll start my own business in the future. Lu Daocheng quickly scrambled down from his bunk, excitedly adding, count me in. I want to see what kind of talent you can attract. Maybe even those legendary experts. Du Ming adjusted his glasses, his eyes glimmering with anticipation. I don't have anything planned for Saturday either. Let us all go and join the excitement. I'll also see if my skills meet the standard of typical job applicants. Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan suddenly turned to Du Ming. How about you take a part-time position at my company? Though Du Ming was also studying physics, he had a keen interest in programming and had self-studied to a level that surpassed many senior students. Moreover, his family's financial situation was dire, with only 500 yuan for living expenses each month. Without occasional part-time work, that amount would barely keep him from starving. For Chu Qianlan, adding one part-time employee would significantly increase expenses, but for Du Ming, it would provide a stable source of income. Lu Daocheng clapped his hand on the bed, exclaiming, Old four, that sounds like a good idea. With this part-time job, you want to only earn your living expenses, but also help third brother oversee the tech team. Qianlan, why don't I also take a part-time job? Just assign me to some low-level management position. Lu Daocheng suggested eagerly. Boss, it's best if you refrain from joining in. Have you seen any management positions that only work on weekends? Zhang Lei's comment extinguished his enthusiasm immediately. The next morning, Chu Qianlan arrived early at the office building, canceled his sick leave with the instructor, and then met up with Zhang Lei and the others at the third teaching building. According to the schedule, the first 2 classes of the morning were Professor Su Dinghua's mathematical physics methods. Chu Qianlan had already perused similar books in the technology library and had grasped the key concepts. During class, while Professor Su lectured, he flipped through programming books projected from the library. After a week of study, he had developed a profound understanding of programming theory. However, this knowledge remained theoretical. He was still unable to write programs on a computer. The programming languages in the library were entirely different from those used on Blue Star, and what he had learned thus far amounted only to theory. To truly write programs, he needed either to master the programming languages on Blue Star or find someone to recreate the library's programming software. Chu Qianlan, is he here? Just as Chu Qianlan was engrossed in his study of programming, Professor Su's voice rang out, calling attendance. Here, Professor Su, I'm here. Chu Qianlan promptly raised his hand to signal his presence. Professor Su paused in his attendance, looked up at Chu Qianlan, and stated, You may have obtained leave from the instructor, but I do not concern myself with that. You have missed 3 classes, which will result in a deduction of 15 points from your daily score. Make sure to review thoroughly. Do not fail the final exam. Without waiting for a response, he moved on to the next student. At Deep City University, the final assessment score typically comprised daily scores and exam scores, with daily scores usually accounting for 40 points. With a deduction of 15 points, Chu Qianlan would need to achieve an exceptionally high score in the final exam to pass overall. Fortunately, he had thoroughly absorbed the material from the entire book, and as long as Professor Su did not deduct all of his daily points, passing should not be an issue. Third brother, Professor Su, is quite strict. If you're not careful, you might actually fail the final exam, Du Ming warned as Professor Su departed. Chu Qianlan smiled confidently and reassured. Rest assured, my grades remain exemplary. By the way, fourth, have you given any thought to the part-time position at my company? Du Ming, this time, did not hesitate, declaring, I've made my decision. I shall follow your lead from now on. Excellent. With your assistance, I feel even more at ease. Chu Qianlan said, giving Du Ming a light pat on the arm. At that moment, a mocking voice reached their ears. Oh, if it isn't Chu Qianlan. I thought you were too embarrassed to show your face after Lin Qingxue dumped you. The speaker, Kong Lingwa, though not in the same class as Chu Qianlan, often shared a large lecture hall with her. Hailing from Huiqiangbai, his father was a rival of Chu Tianxiong, resulting in a rather strained relationship with Chu Qianlan. 2 years prior, they had both vied for Lin Qingxue's affection, with Chu Qianlan ultimately winning her heart. Now, upon learning of their breakup, Kong Lingwa seized the opportunity to embarrass her. Even if you've broken up, we were once a couple, while you are nothing, Chu Qianlan retorted without hesitation. Kong Lingwa's face flushed crimson, and he angrily replied, Chu Qianlan, don't get too cocky. Professor Su just deducted points from your usual score. Other teachers won't spare you either. This is merely the beginning. Wait until you fail at the end of the term, and see how you maintain your hypocritical facade. You might have forgotten that I have always outperformed you academically, and this term will be no exception. Chu Qianlan replied with a smile, brimming with confidence. Left speechless, Kong Lingwa glared at her before turning to leave. Observing Kong Lingwa's departing figure, Zhang Lei remarked, that guy always ends up humiliated in front of you, yet still comes back for more. He truly has a short memory. Don't mind him. He's merely a jester. As they conversed, the group followed the crowd towards their next class. Saturday soon arrived, and Chu Qianlan, along with Zhang Lei and the others, arrived early at the job fair. The four set up their recruitment information at the pre-reserved booth. As the company was in its nascent stages, there were numerous positions to fill, including roles in human resources, finance, and accounting, each requiring oversight. However, the most critical was the technical department responsible for software development, as the success of their upcoming plans hinged entirely on this team. As the job fair officially commenced, a flood of job seekers poured in, and the crowd in front of the Xinghai Technology booth gradually increased. Yet, few approached to inquire, given that Xinghai Technology was a fledgling company without much renown. A young man, equipped with a backpack and black-rimmed glasses, handed over his resume. I am a recent graduate in computer science, having self-studied various programming languages and participated in a few small software projects. I am very interested in game development. Might your esteemed company consider giving me an opportunity? After accepting the resume, Chu Qianlan promptly passed it to Du Ming. This was their prearranged plan. Du Ming would conduct a brief inquiry to ensure the candidate possessed at least a basic understanding before extending an invitation for an interview. Shortly thereafter, a woman in her 30s, dressed in professional attire, approached the booth to inquire about the finance position. With 3 years of experience in corporate finance, she spoke fluently about tax declarations and fund management. After a brief conversation, Chu Qianlan offered her a position with a salary of 5,000 yuan, providing the address and requesting her to start the following day. For positions outside the technical department, Chu Qianlan had modest expectations. As long as candidates understood the fundamental operations, they would suffice. As time passed, more and more individuals came to inquire. Within just 2 hours, Chu Qianlan had successfully filled the positions across various departments, with only the programming roles in the technical department remaining. Du Ming also had a commendable haul, with over 10 resumes in front of him. Suddenly, he brightened up and waved Chu Qianlan over. Qianlan, this person's technical skills are solid. He has led the development of numerous software projects. You should have a chat with him. After conversing with a programmer named Zhou Yuan, Chu Qianlan discovered not only his exceptional technical prowess, but also his expertise in software architecture, indicating he was indeed capable of leading software development independently. Mr. Zhou, given your experience and qualifications, I can offer you an annual salary of 120,000 yuan, if you can lead a team to achieve results. There will also be company dividends at the end of the year. Would you be willing to join our company? A monthly salary of 10. 000 yuan is already considered the average pay for a senior engineer in this era. Sure, when does the company need me to start? Zhou Yuan inquired. Tomorrow, as there is an interview in the afternoon that requires your oversight. After all, they will be your subordinates. All right, I will prepare and arrive at the company punctually at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Zhou Yuan readily agreed. Once he left, the day's recruitment could be deemed a resounding success. As the four stepped out of the job fair, Lu Daocheng expressed some concern. Third, I can't shake the feeling that the initial candidates you recruited might not be reliable. They won't leave you in the lurch tomorrow, will they? Chapter 6. Official launch on Sunday morning. Chu Qianlan and her companions arrived early at the company. Although they had managed to tidy up an office for temporary use on Friday afternoon, the entire 15th floor still appeared chaotic. At 7:30, Zhou Yuan arrived at the company entrance, carrying a laptop bag and looking invigorated. Upon seeing Chu Qianlan, he teasingly asked, General Manager Chu, you aren't expecting me to help you with renovations, are you? As he stepped onto the 15th floor, he was greeted by the sight of a dusty office. Chu Qianlan was unperturbed, noting that they had only recently rented the floor and had yet to arrange it properly. But rest assured, the desks and chairs will be set up today, and the computers will arrive tomorrow, allowing you all to commence work. As they conversed, other new employees began to arrive. Before 8 o'clock, only the accountant was still absent. Observing that it was nearly time, Chu Qianlan led everyone on a tour of the 15th floor, ultimately arriving at the sole office that had been organized. After exchanging pleasantries, she delved into the main topic. As the first members of Xinghai Technology, we have much work ahead of us in this initial phase of the company. For the next month or two, our focus will be entirely on the technical department, with all other departments serving its needs. I will now outline the tasks for the upcoming days. Human Resources, Manhwa. You will set up your workspace here shortly and prepare a simple job application form for this afternoon. Please also have the employment contracts and employee files ready by next week. A team of 5 laborers will be arriving shortly. Logistics, Lu Yu and Yang Yufeng. You two will oversee them and ensure that the adjacent large office is cleaned out. The desks and chairs will be set up around 1 o'clock. Zhang Yu. Since the logistics staff hasn't arrived, I will provide you with 50,000 yuan in cash for temporary expenses, and you will take charge of that. Administrative staff, Su Feng. You will primarily follow up with Mr. Zhou. Please compile any of his needs and send them to me before the end of the afternoon. If other departments have requests, they can also report them to Su Feng. I will not be in the office often, so you can reach me via phone or email. Mr. Zhou, you will need to oversee the afternoon's interviews. Here are the requirements for my first software. Please review them to familiarize yourself. Chu Qianlan handed a document to Zhou Yuan and gestured for the others to disperse. Zhang Lei and Lu Daocheng followed the logistics team to assist, while Du Ming stood beside Zhou Yuan, occasionally explaining the details in the document. The document was a reconstruction of the management software used in internet cafes years later, derived from Chu Qianlan's memories. In comparison to the currently popular software, it has incorporated practical features such as merchandise sales, software management, and one-click installation. Zhou Yuan assessed the functionality requirements, design concepts, and anticipated outcomes of the internet cafe management software, rapidly calculating the difficulty of development in his mind. President Chu. The additional features in this software are quite innovative and not overly complex to implement. However, the one-click installation poses some challenges, Zhou Yuan remarked, pointing to the document. The so-called one-click installation allows for the pre-installed software to be simultaneously installed on new computers when additional systems are added to the internet cafe, thereby eliminating the time-consuming process of repeated clicks. Chu Qianlan smiled confidently. Such trivial issues should pose no difficulty for you, Engineer Zhou. Zhou Yuan returned the smile with confidence, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. Rest assured, President Chu, while it may be somewhat troublesome, it can certainly be resolved. However, to realize this function, additional time will likely be required for testing. Chu Qianlan patted Zhou Yuan on the shoulder. Time is not a concern. Quality is paramount. By the way, how long do you estimate it will take to develop this software? Aside from a few new features, the other components have existing cases and merely require optimization. If all goes smoothly, I can complete the software development in about a month and a half, and with testing included, it will take a maximum of 2 months. Zhou Yuan reflected for a moment before providing a timeline. 2 months should not be an issue. By the way, this is my classmate. He will come by to hone his programming skills when he has the time, and I hope you can offer him guidance, Engineer Zhou. Chu Qianlan nodded and introduced Du Ming. Classmate? President Chu, you're still a student? Zhou Yuan expressed his confusion. I'm a sophomore at the physics department of Deep University. Chu Qianlan did not hide this fact. President Chu, the current pricing for internet cafe management software is exceedingly low. Developing this software likely affords little opportunity for profit. Upon hearing Zhou Yuan's concerns, Chu Qianlan understood his apprehension, which stemmed from the fear that the software might fail to generate revenue for the company. Do not worry. This software is merely a stepping stone. I do not intend to profit from it. According to my plan, our company's third software will be the key to profitability. Since you have a clear vision, I shall refrain from further commentary. Zhou Yuan ceased his inquiries and redirected his focus to the document in hand. Engaging in a detailed discussion about the software architecture with Du Ming, Chu Qianlan exited the office to review the progress of various departments. In logistics, Lu Yu and Yang Yufeng were directing workers who had nearly completed cleaning the large office floor, ensuring no delays for the subsequent installation of desks and chairs. The finance and human resources departments were busily attending to their respective tasks. In the afternoon, interview candidates arrived in succession, with Zhou Yuan and Chun Hua presiding over the interviews. Although Chu Qianlan was present, he did not intervene. He could discern that the programmers Zhou Yuan approved exhibited a solid foundation in programming. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all interview processes were concluded. Zhou Yuan selected 7 individuals from among the dozen candidates. These would form the backbone of the technical department. However, these programmers had already departed, with their official start date set for the following day. As the end of the workday approached, Chu Qianlan gathered all employees to arrange the upcoming week's tasks and offered a few words of encouragement before dispersing the meeting. The following day, Chu Qianlan attended classes as usual and did not head to the company. According to the plan, the primary task for the next few days was training the programmers while other departments collaborated to manage various trivial matters. The sophomore courses at Deep University were rather demanding. Unless he skipped classes, Chu Qianlan had no time to leave during the day. Fortunately, every afternoon, Su Fong from the administrative department compiled a summary of the day's events at the company and sent it to his email. After 3 days, the training was complete, and Zhou Yuan prepared to organize all programmers to begin developing the Internet Cafe management system. On Thursday afternoon, with no classes scheduled, Chu Qianlan intended to visit the company to assess the situation. However, just after his class ended at noon, he was informed that all members of the arts club were to gather for a meeting in the 4th teaching building. It was at that moment he recalled that, in pursuit of Lin Qingxue, he had joined an arts club. In reality, the club was founded by classmates harboring dreams of stardom, aiming to enhance their exposure through singing and drama activities to attract the attention of entertainment companies. Lin Qingxue's entry into Tianhai Entertainment was partially credited to the club. Since he had already separated from Lin Qingxue, he naturally had no intention of remaining in the arts club. Thus, he decided to use this meeting as an opportunity to formally announce his withdrawal. Chapter 7. Arts Club Allocation. In a classroom on the 5th floor of the 4th teaching building, over 20 individuals had gathered. Upon entering, Chu Qianlan found a seat in the back row. Inside the classroom, everyone was engaged in conversation with familiar faces, and no one noticed Chu Qianlan's arrival. After several minutes, the club president, Chun Yusin, ascended the podium. Everyone, please quiet down. Our arts club is preparing to host a campus singer competition next month. At that time, our junior, Lin Qingxue, will invite an agent from Tianhai Entertainment. If any students perform well, they might have the chance to sign with Tianhai Entertainment. As her words concluded, a wave of discussion erupted in the classroom. Many were elated, as if a contract was already within their grasp. However, a few, like Chu Qianlan, remained indifferent, likely accompanying others without any intention of stepping into the entertainment industry. After a brief pause, Chun Yusin cleared her throat and continued. Hosting this campus singer competition will require approximately 100,000 yuan. Following our usual practice, with 32 members in our club, each person will contribute 100 yuan, and any surplus or deficit will be adjusted after the competition. If there are no objections, we can collect the money shortly. Chu Qianlan recalled that when he was with Lin Qingxue, he had not perceived anything amiss about this arrangement. Spending some money for a potential opportunity in the entertainment industry seemed reasonable. However, reflecting on the last event, he now found it somewhat absurd. The entire event, including the rental of various props and prizes, had only cost several tens of thousands of yuan. Yet, when it came time to settle accounts, not a penny remained. The advertising expenses during the event, coupled with the shared costs among members, allowed several club administrators to profit by at least 70 to 80,000 yuan. Moreover, in the previous events, not only did Chu Qianlan have to pay, but he also had to toil during the activities. Looking back, it appeared that they were merely seen as cash cows by the management. He scanned the excited faces of his peers. Many were freshmen, reminiscent of himself and Lin Qingxue from years past. President, please exclude me from the cost sharing. As of today, I am withdrawing from the club, he suddenly spoke. his voice resonating clearly in the quiet classroom. Chen Yusin's smile froze on her face, and murmurs erupted from the audience. Chu Qianlan, won't you reconsider? Lin Xinghai will be participating in this event. My relationship with Lin Xinghai is no longer my concern, Chu Qianlan declared, rising to leave the classroom. At that moment, a male student in the front row, speaking with a sarcastic tone, remarked, "What S with a high ground? You weren't like this when you were pursuing Lin Xinghai. Now that you've been dumped, you just turn your back and leave, too ashamed to show your face?" His words were followed by low laughter from a few others. Chu Qianlan halted, turning to face the speaker, who was Wang Hao, a member of the student union's arts department and one of the core members of the arts club. He suddenly smiled and said, "You're right. We've broken up, so why should I continue to pay for someone else's dreams? Do you know why we broke up? It was because Lin Xinghai got signed by Tianhai Entertainment. You all will be the next to be signed, and breaking up is just a matter of time." As Chu Qianlan's words echoed, the previous discussions in the classroom gradually subsided, and several freshmen exchanged glances, looking towards the figures they admired nearby. Chen Yusin suddenly shouted at Chu Qianlan, "Is there anything wrong with Lin Xinghai pursuing her dreams? I have never claimed she is in the wrong. But now that we have parted ways, I shall no longer do anything for her," Chu Qianlan declared, turning to leave. "Chu Qianlan, if you wish to depart, at least settle the expenses for this event first. If you leave without paying, the others will have to bear a larger share. You cannot be so selfish," Wang Hao exclaimed, calling after him. Instantly, several members of the arts club's management reacted, urging ordinary members to chime in. "Are you attempting to morally coerce me?" Chu Qianlan replied sternly, fixing his gaze on Wang Hao. "Indeed, the total cost is 100,000. If you do not contribute, the burden will fall more heavily on others," Wang Hao retorted, his voice booming with accusation. Chu Qianlan scoffed inwardly. If they were shameless, he would gladly expose their deceit. With an impassive expression, he surveyed the room before finally addressing Chen Yusin on stage. "I recall that last semester's event also had a total expenditure of 100,000, yet your final statement indicated that it was entirely consumed." Not giving his opponent a chance to respond, Chu Qianlan continued, "Having lived in Huiqiangbei since childhood, I am well acquainted with local prices. The stage props and sound equipment rented for last year's event barely amounted to 30,000, while the various prizes were mere counterfeit phones and computers from Huiqiangbei, totaling no more than 20,000. During the event, there were advertising sponsors, generating an income of around 20,000 to 30,000. When all is considered, last year's event cost only 20,000 to 30,000. Where did the surplus funds vanish?" As his words echoed, a murmur of shock rippled through the ordinary members, while the management's faces turned ashen. "Chu Qianlan, do not spread falsehoods," Wang Hao stammered, a hint of panic creeping into his voice. "You are speaking nonsense. Last year's expenses were made public." Chen Yusin felt compelled to defend herself. "Those so-called public accounts are riddled with inconsistencies. It's merely that no one has taken the time to scrutinize you. When I was willing, I would pay any price. And now that I wish to leave, your gains and losses hold no relevance to me," Chu Qianlan sneered, pushing the door open and exiting the classroom. The room fell into a profound silence. "Do not mind him. Chu Qianlan is simply in a foul mood after breaking up with Lin Xinghai. I will cover his share," Chen Yusin interjected, attempting to alleviate the awkward tension. Just then a bespectacled boy in the back row stood up. "President, I am also withdrawing from a club." Soon after, several others rose and exited the classroom as well. Chu Qianlan was oblivious to the ensuing events and had no desire to know. Checking the time, he arranged to meet Du Ming, and the two headed straight to the company. Upon re-entering the 15th floor, though still quite empty, the cleanliness had improved significantly. At that moment, the technical department was gathered, discussing the software framework and allocating tasks. Noticing Chu Qianlan's arrival, Zhou Yuan immediately approached with a stack of documents in hand. "President Chu, just in time. We are discussing the development details of the Internet Cafe management software. Would you like to listen in? You manage the software development as you see fit. I only require the results. Du Ming, why don't you join and learn as well?" Chu Qianlan replied before heading straight to the finance department. "Sister Zhang, how have the expenses been these past few days? Is there still any money left?" Zhang Yu lifted her head from her pile of documents. "President Chu, we need to pay the wages of the temporary workers and purchase some daily office supplies, which has led to considerable spending. The 50,000 you provided is down to just over 20,000. Future expenses will be a bit less, but not for long. Moreover, with the month-end approaching, we need to prepare for payroll." Her implication was clear. Chu Qianlan needed to prepare funds. "All right, I will provide you with another 50,000 for daily expenses. Here is the business license. Consult with Su Fong to expedite the establishment of the company accounts and relevant procedures, Chu Qianlan said, handing her the business license that Tianxiong Company had delivered 2 days prior. He then sought out Su Fong to discuss the cooperation on opening the finance accounts. Finally, he entered the Human Resources Department. Manhwa was organizing documents in front of his computer. Upon noticing Chu Qianlan's entrance, he quickly stood to greet him. President Chu, you have arrived. Chu Qianlan slightly nodded. Manhwa, how is the employment contract coming along? Rest assured, President Chu, the initial draft of the employment contract is complete. I am currently cross-referencing it with the relevant regulations to ensure there are no loopholes. According to Engineer Zhou's requirements, we have added confidentiality agreements and non-compete clauses for the technical department. Manhwa reported eagerly. Chu Qianlan nodded in satisfaction. Yes. Ensure the contract is meticulous and free of errors. When you have time, post a job listing online for a cashier position. Offer a monthly salary of 3,000 and schedule interviews for the weekends. Understood, President Chu. Do you have any other instructions? Manhwa replied. After pondering for a moment, Chu Qianlan added, draft a part-time contract for Du Ming, calculating his wages at 100 per day. Keep track of your overtime and include that in the payroll calculations. Communicate with Engineer Zhou about how to account for overtime at the technical department. After delegating the matters in the Human Resources Department, Chu Qianlan wandered around the company. Compared to a few days ago, the conditions here had vastly improved. The company was currently focused on software development, with no external operations, relieving the pressure on everyone except the technical department. With Engineer Zhou in charge, Chu Qianlan did not need to worry for the time being. Returning to his office, he resumed studying programming techniques from the library. Compared to the programming methods of Blue Star, the techniques within the library were far more advanced. Chu Qianlan had now mastered one of the programming styles from the library, and to further enhance his skills, practical application was essential. After much contemplation, he decided to study C language from Blue Star, intending to use it as a foundation to develop programming software for the library. For him now, learning was the simplest task. He could finish reading a moderately sized book in just 1 day. Upon returning to school that evening, Chu Qianlan discovered that the issues surrounding the arts club had not yet subsided. Kong Lingua had somehow heard the news and was spreading rumors in various classes within the physics department, claiming that Chu Qianlan had caused a disturbance in the club. Naturally, the incidents within the arts college also circulated widely. After Chu Qianlan's departure at noon, 7 more individuals had withdrawn from the club, shrinking its membership by a third. Simultaneously, Chu Qianlan's doubts regarding the arts club's expenditures had also spread. Some had already confirmed that last year's event had cost far less than 100,000. Several students who had won awards last year checked their prizes and indeed found them to be assembled devices from Huiqiangbai. In a flash, the arts club's reputation was tarnished, and it was highly unlikely they would be able to host the campus singer competition this semester. However, these events bore no consequence for Chu Qianlan. He had merely been a member and had never entered the management or taken a single cent from the arts club. For the time being, Chu Qianlan spent his days perusing C language books during class and occasionally visiting the company. Until the development of the Internet Cafe management system was complete, he had no need to concern himself with the company's operations. In just 5 days, he had memorized all the various syntaxes of C language and was thoroughly familiar with the rules of writing code. Subsequently, he began experimenting with writing small programs to familiarize himself with the applications of C language. Old 3, you're being rather exaggerated, aren't you? It has only been a few days, and you can already write programs independently? Zhang Lei, who was engrossed in a game, cast a glance at Chu Qianlan's computer screen, feeling utterly incredulous. It's merely some simple programs. They hardly count for anything. Chu Qianlan casually renamed the compiled program and saved it in his documents. You can write programs now. Your talent surpasses even mine. As the big boss, will you also participate in the company's software development? Du Ming, who was busy coding across from him, inquired. If I were to join the technical department, would the programmers heed my commands or listen to Zhou Yuan's? To avoid complications, I think I shall continue learning on my own. Chu Qianlan had his own plans. Once he became proficient in C programming, he intended to replicate a programming software called Ziguang Editor from the library. By that time, he would be able to swiftly recreate the software cataloged in the library. Even advanced artificial intelligence programs could be gradually crafted by him with a little time. Oh, in that case, perhaps you should refrain from entering the technical department. Zhou is currently aligning all the programmers. The software you desire is already in the core development phase. Du Ming shook his head, preparing to refocus on his computer. Old 3, could you perhaps prepare a part-time job for me as well? Watching you all bustling about makes me feel utterly useless. Lu Daoqing suddenly sat up from his bed, eyeing the three busy individuals below. How about this, boss? Why not learn a program? If you can independently write a few small functional programs, I could let you into the technical department, just like old four. Chu Qianlan tentatively suggested, knowing well that his boss was not one to embrace learning. Forget it. Learning programming would be akin to sentencing me to death. My thought process isn't as rigorous as yours. Writing a piece of code would inevitably result in a plethora of bugs. I'd rather continue being a slacker. Lu Daoqing shook his head. Once my software is completed, I will promote it externally. If you are willing, you can take part in that. Chu Qianlan's eyes sparkled as a brilliant idea struck him. He initially planned to promote a cyber cafe management system during the summer vacation, offering it for free to swiftly capture the market. However, realizing that the software management system would be completed by the end of May, with nearly 2 months until the vacation, he could utilize this time to promote the software and potentially recover some of the development costs. Are you recruiting for new part-time positions? Do tell me more about the specifics of the job. Lu Daoqing's face instantly lit up with excitement. Zhang Lei, too, ceased his gaming and turned his attention to Chu Qianlan. Chapter 9, Promotion Plan Restart. Once the software is completed, it must inevitably be promoted. You should reach out to some high school classmates or seek out online acquaintances. Once the software is released, you will be responsible for its promotion, and I will inform you on how to obtain profits once promotion begins. Chu Qianlan, after a moment of contemplation, articulated a somewhat immature idea. This doesn't seem too difficult. I have 5 or 6 game groups. Count me in when the software is promoted. Zhang Gulai eagerly exclaimed. The software still required over a month to be fully completed, so there was no need for them to rush. They could commence preliminary work. While Chu Qianlan was not overly focused on software promotion at the moment, Zhang Lei and Lu Daoqing took the matter very seriously. Since Chu Qianlan suggested that they promote the software, the two had been incessantly inquiring about the software's development progress and promotional details. As time passed, the company's operations had entered a steady state, and Chu Qianlan only needed to visit the company on weekends to check on the software development progress. Since other departments had little to do, Su Fong from the administrative department proposed a shift schedule, allowing some staff members to rest on weekdays while adjusting their working hours to weekends, ensuring there would always be personnel in the company to assist the technical department. Chu Qianlan found this suggestion agreeable and approved it, allowing him to see several employees from other departments during his weekend visits. After mastering C language through writing small programs, Chu Qianlan began to replicate the Ziguang editor programming software from the library. He estimated that merely completing the basic command writing would take over half a month. And with the addition of logic structure and other functional modules, the entire software would not be completed until at least June at the earliest. This pace was still expedited due to the availability of the original software in the library, as he merely needed to rewrite it in C language. Otherwise, the time required would be significantly longer. As May progressed, the cyber cafe management software was nearing the completion of its overall coding. One of its features, a one-click installation extension, was resolved by Chu Qianlan utilizing some theories from the library. Now, the software only required final testing and some beautification before it could be promoted externally. However, while this process seemed straightforward, it would take at least half a month. While keeping an eye on the software development progress, Chu Qianlan also began preparing for the related promotional activities. The company had its own server and website, so it would be straightforward to host the software on their site, which was one less concern. However, once the cyber cafe management system was promoted, there would need to be after-sales support, as it would be essential for promoting more of their own software in the future. Therefore, Chu Qianlan hired 2 customer service representatives, primarily to address any inquiries from cafe owners. Should technical issues arise, the technical department would be responsible for resolution. At this juncture, it was time to inform Zhang Lei and Lu Daoqing about the specific plans for software promotion. Recently, they had been frequently inquiring about the software development progress, displaying great enthusiasm for the matter. This is the software promotion plan. Take a look. If there are any points you don't understand, feel free to ask me. On this day, Chu Qianlan tossed 2 documents to Zhang Lei and Lu Daoqing. According to his plan, before the vacation, the cyber cafe management software will be priced at 500 yuan per set. Zhang Lei and his companion would be responsible for promotion, earning a commission of 100 yuan for each set sold. As for how they would share the profits with their subordinates, that was their own business, and Chu Qianlan would not interfere. His goal was merely to provide them with an opportunity to earn money. Old 3, is it really 100 yuan for promoting each software? Lu Daoqing asked with shining eyes. Yes, it's 100 yuan per software set, but the prerequisite is that you promote it yourself. If your classmates go out to promote, they will undoubtedly need to share some profits with them, Chu Qianlan clarified. How much should we allocate to our subordinates? After reviewing the documents, Zhang Lei grasped that to earn this money, they would need to recruit some individuals to promote the software at various cybercafes. This is the core issue for your earnings, and I shall not participate in the decision-making. However, I must inform you that this software will only be charged before the vacation. Once summer break begins, it will become free. If you wish to make money, you must act swiftly, Chu Qianlan stated solemnly. Lu Daoqing's eyes sparkled with excitement. I understand. This is akin to agency sales. I can recruit several distributors to run the cafes, and I'll just sit back and collect a commission. Zhang Lei, on the other hand, pulled out his phone and began scrolling through his contacts. A high school classmate of mine runs a cyber cafe near the university town. I'll test the waters with him. Observing the enthusiasm of the two, Chu Qianlan helplessly reminded them, don't rush. The cyber cafe management system 1 TB online for another half month. Finding people now is futile. During this period, focus on familiarizing yourselves with the process. So you 1 TB flustered later. Yes, you're right. I'll contact some interested individuals during this time, and once the cyber cafe management system is launched, we can commence promotion, Lu Daocheng replied eagerly. The promotion matter will be entrusted to you both. Here lies a set of promotional tools, which I shall also provide to you. At the end of the promotional plan document, there are detailed instructions for their usage. After speaking, Chu Qianlan handed the two men a USB drive. This promotional tool, crafted during his leisure time, generates exclusive promotional codes for registered users. By entering the corresponding promotional code while installing the Internet Cafe management software, one can bind it to the respective registered user. Should the Internet Cafe owner ultimately make a payment, the company will issue a promotional fee to that user. This promotional tool offers two methods of registration. One involves entering the promoter's promotional code with a fee determined by the promoter, while the other allows for direct registration at a base fee. For this promotional campaign of the Internet Cafe management software, the minimum promotional fee is set at 25 yuan. The software you're developing won't be easily cracked, will it? Lu Daoqing inquired, tilting his head towards Chu Qianlan. The software I've created is such that even our company Zhou Yuan would find it nearly impossible to crack in a short span of time. Furthermore, your promotional data is recorded within the company. Even if the software were to be compromised, your promotional fees would remain unaffected, Chu Qianlan replied with a sidelong glance. Exuding confidence. Rest assured, Qianlan's programming prowess has far surpassed mine. The anti-cracking module of the Internet Cafe management system is a program he authored, Du Ming interjected. I never expected you to have become such a technical prodigy in the blink of an eye, Zhang Lei exclaimed, playfully punching Chu Qianlan in the chest. Just standard procedure. As their conversation unfolded, Lu Daocheng suddenly received several messages. Looking surprised as he spoke, third brother. I just heard from student council that the campus singer competition has been reinstated. Lin Xingxue will be the final performer. Chapter 10. Deconstruction of Imitation Fruits? Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan shifted his gaze from the computer screen, a faint smirk gracing his lips. Oh, do they still have the audacity to continue hosting the competition? Lu Daocheng continued flipping through the messages, stating it said that a new sponsor has been secured by the Literary Arts Club. So this time, ordinary members 1T have to foot the bill. The expenses will be fully covered by Xinghai Entertainment. It's already confirmed that Lin Xingxue will participate, which practically guarantees her victory. It's merely a publicity stunt to enhance their own prestige with a fabricated championship title. This is a common tactic in the entertainment industry, so there's no need to pay too much attention to it, Chu Qianlan explained nonchalantly as he typed away at the keyboard. Du Ming adjusted his glasses and suddenly looked up from the code. Qianlan, do you think they might exploit this opportunity to sensationalize your past romance? After all, you were once a couple. No sooner had he finished speaking than Zhang Lei shot him a glare, signaling him to refrain from bringing up such topics. However, Chu Qianlan remained unfazed, asserting, with the positioning Xinghai Entertainment has given Lin Xingxue, they wouldn't actively disclose such matters. Besides, Lin Xingxue has just embarked on her journey in the entertainment world. She isn't even a third-tier star yet. Even if they were to sensationalize my romantic history, how many will be interested? Will you attend the campus singer competition? Lu Daocheng asked curiously. Without hesitation, Chu Qianlan replied, no, I have no interest in the entertainment industry. Moreover, by the time they hold the competition, the Internet Cafe management system should be completed. I want to have the time to attend the event. Just as Lu Daocheng was about to press further, Chu Qianlan's phone rang. Hello, Dad. You need to come home this Saturday, came the voice of Chu Tianxiu. Okay, understood. As Chu Qianlan responded, the line went dead. Holding the phone, he felt somewhat surprised. It was rare for his father to call him. If there were matters at home, it It was typically his mother who would inform him. That was a rather brief call, wasn't it? Just a handful of words, Lu Daoqing remarked, bemused, as he saw Chu Qianlan quickly put away his phone. The fact that my dad called indicates something significant is afoot. However, him asking me to return on Saturday suggests it's not urgent. Chu Qian gasu et lai. He couldn't even recall the last time his father had called him. You should make it back home as soon as possible, Zhang Lei suggested. No ruse. Since he asked me to return on Saturday, I'll wait until then. Though curious, Chu Qianlan was not inclined to return home early. On Saturday morning, Chu Qianlan first made a stop at the company, proposing a few adjustments to the internet cafe management software before heading back home. Don't bother changing your shoes. Come with me to the company first. As Chu Qianlan opened the door, he saw Chu Tianxiong rising from the sofa, approaching him. What is the matter? Did something happen at the company? Chu Qianlan asked, puzzled. I purchased a few fruit phones from Eagle Sauce and plan to take them apart today. Knowing your interest in these phones, I specifically called you. Chu Tianxiong et lai. Following his father to the research room of Xinghai Technology, Chu Qianlan entered to find several brand-new fruit phones laid out on the table, surrounded by engineers who were observing. Chu Tianxiong picked one up and handed it to a middle-aged engineer in a blue shirt. Zhao Gong, let us begin now. Certainly, Mr. Chu, the engineer responded, donning gloves and picking up tools to commence the disassembly. Zhao Gong, displaying remarkable skill, soon had the fruit phone's casing opened, revealing the intricate internal components. Although Chu Qianlan had witnessed numerous smartphones being disassembled through the memory of Dixing Chu Hui, he was still taken aback by the sight before him. The internal structure and wiring of the fruit phone were entirely distinct from those of imitation devices. Look at the wiring on this motherboard. The design is astoundingly clever. Previously, when dismantling domestic phones, they couldn't even come close to this. Chu Tianxiong remarked in awe. Mr. Chu, while both the fruit phone and feature phones are termed as phones, their insides are worlds apart. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say they are two entirely different products, Chu Qianlan stated earnestly. In the company, he refrained from calling his father Dad and instead addressed him as Mr. Chu, just like everyone else. Little Chu, is the disparity really that vast? Zhao Gong, who had already detached most components, questioned skeptically. Some of our school teachers have researched this phone. Its chip comes from the Samsung Group in South Korea, and the screen is an LCD sourced domestically. One could say that the components of this fruit phone span the globe. The high-end feature phones produced domestically are utterly incomparable. The engineers were astonished to hear Chu Qianlan casually recount the origins of the main components of the fruit phone. Chu Tianxiong furrowed his brow, his expression grave. Indeed, the gap is distinctly apparent. Qianlan, do you think if we were to source these components, we could produce such a phone? Mr. Chu, are you considering imitating the fruit phone? I believe it's best not to attempt that. Chu Qianlan outright rejected his father's notion. Little Chu, since we can trace the origins of the components, why can't we produce it? Zhao Gong asked, puzzled. The reason the fruit phone is hailed as a revolutionary product is not solely due to the quality of its components, but rather because of its operating system, which is as functional as a computer. You can install any software you wish. As he spoke, Chu Qianlan picked up another fruit phone nearby. After powering it on, his fingers deftly navigated the device, connecting to a wireless network, downloading software, deleting it, and then downloading another application. His rapid maneuvers left Chu Tianxiong and the others utterly dumbfounded. Chu Qianlan handed the phone to Chu Tianxiong, continuing, you see, this is where the disparity lies. The feature phones we currently produce have a fixed system with very limited functionality, rendering them incapable of competing with such smart devices. Even if we could gather these components, without a compatible operating system, the phones we produce would merely be bricks, incapable of even making calls. Chu Tianxiong grasped the fruit phone, attempting to manipulate it as deftly as Chu Qianlan did, a flicker of astonishment glimmering in his eyes. Indeed, it was a groundbreaking invention, fundamentally distinct from the mobile devices we currently employ. Regrettably, our company lacks the technological prowess. If only we could decode this system. Producing a counterfeit fruit phone would be splendid. Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan was momentarily speechless. His father certainly had the audacity to think so. This was an unabashed derision of the fruit company's technology. Chu, you should abandon the notion of imitating fruit. This phone has at least dozens, if not hundreds, of exclusive patents held by the fruit company. Even if we were to construct a prototype, their lawyers might very well traverse the Pacific to sue us for infringement. Witnessing his father and several engineers were expressions of dismay. Chu Qianlan shifted the conversation, asserting that manufacturing a smartphone did not necessarily entail imitation of the fruit. In the future, under the right circumstances, we could indeed produce our own. Chapter 11. Revelation: the system was launched. Create our own smartphone. Have you lost your mind? Where will this operating system come from? I have not heard of any domestic companies researching operating systems. Shu Yanxing shot a glare at Chu Qianlan, irritation evident in his tone. Unfazed, Chu Qianlan continued to elaborate. With the launch of the fruit phone, you are paying attention, and other domestic manufacturers will be too. Those major phone companies, upon seeing the profits from smartphones, will naturally embark on the development of operating systems. Shu Yanxing scoffed. Those phone companies all claim to possess substantial research capabilities, yet in reality, many of them, like us, merely rely on assembling phones for profit, lacking in technological sophistication. Relying on them to develop a mobile operating system is akin to counting sheep. Sleep on it, and you might dream of it. Chu Qianlan chuckled softly, taken aback by his father's perspective on large phone companies. He indeed harbored intentions to initiate the development of a mobile operating system, yet he was not prepared to voice this ambition just yet. After all, for a small company with merely 5 million in funds, aspiring to develop a mobile operating system would not merely be deemed ambitious. It would be viewed as utterly unrealistic. Nevertheless, he aimed to reassure the group, rest assured, as the saying goes, where there's a will, there's a way. I once heard a professor mention that the Eagle Sauce Company has developed an operating system with intentions of making it open for use. Though the veracity of this information remains uncertain, at the mention of the open system from the Sauce Company, Shu Yanxing shook his head vehemently. Even if there exists an open operating system, we lack the capacity to compete with those major corporations. Since this path appears to lead nowhere, let us continue producing functional phones instead. Given Tianxiong Company's technical level, a fully functional operating system might be usable for us. However, adapting an open-source system to our manufactured phones is beyond our capabilities. After a brief discussion revolving around smartphones, Shu Yanxing prepared to depart. Observing this, Chu Qianlan promptly seized a fruit phone, along with its charging cable and charger, tucking them into his pocket. You probably won't have any use for this. I'll take one back to play with. Watching his son pocket the fruit phone, Shu Yanxing quipped, "You little rascal, you've taken it without a second thought. Go ahead and take it, but don't get too caught up in play. Your studies must not falter. And by the way, the cost of the phone will be deducted from your dividends." Chu Qianlan chuckled, dismissing his father's words lightly. The fruit phone had yet to be launched in Manhwa. Even if he had the funds, purchasing one was impossible. Moreover, his father was merely jesting. He would not actually deduct his dividends for a phone. After acquiring the fruit phone, Chu Qianlan did not disassemble it for study, nor attempt to crack the operating system within. With the memories of his previous life, he was acutely aware of the future trajectory of smartphone development. The existence of a technological library made the task of developing a mobile operating system far from daunting for him. He intended to use the fruit phone purely for its intended purpose. Returning to the dormitory that evening, Zhang Lei, Lu Daocheng, and Du Ming gathered around Chu Qianlan, their eyes alight upon the fruit phone in his hand. "Old 3, where did you procure that fruit phone? It's a rarity in our Manhwa," Zhang Lei exclaimed, his eyes wide with envy. "My father leveraged connections to acquire it from the Eagle Saw side," Chu Qianlan replied succinctly. Lu Daocheng edged closer, eager to touch it. "Let me feel this legendary high-tech product." Chu Qianlan handed the phone to him. "It's quite sturdy. There's no need to be overly cautious. Just don't drop it." Du Ming adjusted his glasses, meticulously examining the phone's interface. "This system is impressive. It truly is convenient to operate. Old 3, do you think we will be able to create a phone even better than this in the future?" As a tech enthusiast, his focus diverged from others. Chu Qianlan confidently asserted, "Certainly. However, we must take it step by step. If our company's plans come to fruition, we shall soon embark on developing a mobile operating system." In the ensuing days, Chu Qianlan remained occupied with his academic responsibilities and the affairs of the company. The Internet Cafe management software entered its final phase of rigorous testing, with Zhou Yuan leading the technical team tirelessly addressing emerging issues, striving to optimize the software's stability and functionality to perfection. Chu Qianlan frequently contributed, utilizing theoretical knowledge from the technological library to propose pivotal improvements. On the evening of May 18th, following another round of modifications, the Internet Cafe management software finally completed all tests, with each functional module and aesthetic layout meeting the standards set forth by Chu Qianlan, marking the conclusion of the development phase. Uploading the Internet Cafe management software to the server, the success of the endeavor now hinged on the upcoming months of promotion. Accompanying the upload were also the promotional software and user instructions authored by Chu Qianlan. "Chu, the Internet Cafe management software has been successfully developed. What shall be the focus of our next software project?" Zhou Yuan inquired. "Everyone has worked diligently for 2 months. There's no rush for the next software development. Next week, I only require half the team to remain at the company for software maintenance. The rest may take paid leave. We shall discuss new projects after a while. Upon hearing this, several programmers erupted into cheers. Chu is magnificent. Chu is grand. Long live Chu. Zhou Yuan's eyes sparkled with delight. Chu, this is truly wonderful. Everyone has indeed been exhausted. This is the perfect opportunity for them to rest and recuperate. Chu Qianlan cleared his throat, his demeanor turning earnest. Everyone has worked hard. And as the owner, I shall not be stingy. Next month, the company will allocate 60,000 as project bonuses to all employees who contributed. The specific amounts each will receive will depend on their contributions. Upon this announcement, the office erupted in jubilation, excitement plastered across every face. 60,000 yuan would significantly benefit the technical department, surpassing even their monthly salaries. Rest assured, we shall work diligently moving forward, Zhou Yuan exclaimed, with other employees echoing their commitment. Observing the morale of his team soaring, Chu Qianlan felt a profound sense of satisfaction. Excellent. With your words, I am at ease. Next comes the crucial phase of promotion. The download numbers during this period should not be overwhelming, and any issues that arise during the promotion must be addressed promptly. After confirming some details regarding software maintenance and technical support with Zhou Yuan, Chu Qianlan prepared to leave. Before departing, he reiterated, Zhou, regarding the project bonuses. The technical department will receive 50,000. Ensure you determine each person's distribution and report it to the finance department. Additionally, your bonus will be calculated separately, so do not divide this amount with them. Upon returning to the dormitory, Chu Qianlan immediately conveyed the news of the internet cafe management software going live to Zhang Lei and Lu Daoqing. The two, brimming with enthusiasm, had no intention of sleeping and promptly set about preparing promotional efforts. Chapter 12. The promotion of StarChat begins. Zhang Lei swiftly reached out to his friends in the gaming community, as well as to the internet cafe owners who had previously expressed interest in collaboration. Lu Daoqing also rallied his high school classmates. They tirelessly explained the promotion process and the associated rewards, sharing the website of Xinghai Technology. The two had already established an agreement whereby they would each take a commission of 25 yuan from every software package sold, with the remaining 75 yuan allocated to those promoting the software beneath them. Their downlines numbered in the hundreds, many of whom would not promote the software independently, but would seek to recruit further downlines. They aimed to ensure these individuals had a reasonable profit margin. By now, it was late at night. Based on Chu Qianlan's conjecture, it would already be commendable if the promotion teams led by Zhang Lei managed to register and familiarize themselves with the internet cafe management system's various functions. The first download of the management system was expected to occur the following day. However, just before Chu Qianlan settled down for the night and remotely logged into the company server, he discovered that 2 internet cafes had already installed their system. Instantly, his drowsiness dissipated. Upon checking the promotional codes, he immediately realized that these 2 software packages had been distributed by Zhang Lei. Zhang Lei, you little rascal. You move quite swiftly, he mused. Within the span of 2 hours, he had successfully promoted 2 software packages. Zhang Lei, brimming with pride, remarked, I have over 10 internet cafe owners in my gaming group. That's a natural advantage. One of the software packages was likely purchased by a high school classmate of mine who runs a gaming cafe, and his management software is about to expire. Chu Qianlan jested, well done. You've truly reaped the benefits of proximity. Lu Qingdao also sat up in bed. You've merely promoted 2 packages ahead of me. I shall undoubtedly surpass you in tomorrow's promotions. Don't boast. Your classmates have classes, while the individuals in my group have far more time. Let's wager. Whoever promotes fewer packages tomorrow treats the other to a meal. Fine, I accept the wager. I'm not afraid of you. Chu Qianlan observed the 2 sparring verbally and paid little heed. Such banter was commonplace in their dormitory, and the meal in question would simply take place in the cafeteria, costing no more than 20 yuan. The next day was Saturday, and Chu Qianlan arrived at the company early to check on the internet cafe management system's operating status. Upon reviewing the back-end data, he could not help but smile as he noted that 10 internet cafes were already utilizing the software. Zhou Yuan grinned and remarked, President Chu, your 2 classmates are quite capable. They've achieved results in just one night. Chu Qianlan nodded. This is merely the beginning. Whether we meet the anticipated outcomes will depend on the promotion during the summer vacation. For now, we are simply recuperating some costs while the second software is still in development. As Zhou Yuan sifted through various data on the server, he inquired, President Chu, since the internet cafe management system is operating smoothly, we should prioritize the development of the second software. After a moment of contemplation, Chu Qianlan began to introduce the new software. The new software, named StarChat, is akin to Tencent's QQ. We will focus on voice communication, targeting young gamers, with a distinctive feature of voice chat groups. For instance, during gaming sessions, teams of 5 or 6 can create a group where everyone can hear each other. Zhou Yuan's eyes briefly flickered with concern. President Chu, the instant messaging software market is dominated by Tencent. Should we enter recklessly? Might we become targets for them? Chu Qianlan confidently patted Zhou Yuan on the shoulder. Do not worry. While Tencent may hold a commanding position, we possess our own advantages. StarChat specializes in gaming voice communication, and as long as our technology is sound, we will swiftly secure a share of this market. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuan ceased his inquiries and began pondering the technical challenges. President Chu, developing instant messaging software is not particularly difficult, but the voice communication feature you mentioned presents some issues. One-to-one voice communication is relatively mature, yet one-to-many voice communication often encounters various disruptive noises. A challenge no company has yet resolved. I will handle the voice conversion module. You simply need to lead the technical department in developing the core of the StarChat software. The relevant software architecture has already been completed and is in my office. You may review it at your convenience. Upon hearing that Chu Qianlan would take on the software's complexities, Zhou Yuan refrained from further comment. In a small internet cafe within a mountain city, the owner was anxiously surveying over 20 new computers. The cafe experienced significant foot traffic, and he had recently invested in new machines. With only himself managing everything, the assembly of computers had already consumed considerable effort, and now installing software felt overwhelming. As he fretted, a young man who often rented a computer overnight approached him. Boss, do you have any machines left? I'd like to rent one. The cafe owner waved his hand in resignation. We're full. There are no available machines. Isn't there a row of new ones? The young man pointed to the freshly assembled computers. Those machines haven't had software installed yet. I can't let you use them, the owner bluntly declined. All computers must have essential software installed and a restoration tool added before they could be made available to customers. Otherwise, if a computer were to become infected, the cafe would face complications. Just as the young man was about to turn away, he suddenly recalled something. Boss, are you considering switching to a new internet cafe management system? I know of one that can install software on computers with a single click. With all these new machines, using their management system will allow you to install all the software swiftly. The owner perked up at this. Is there really such a powerful software? You're not just blowing smoke, are you? The young man, uncertain, replied, this is software promoted by a friend of mine. I haven't used it myself, but the software description does claim to have that feature. I'll give you a link so you can check it out. The cafe owner, with a skeptical expression, asked, how much does this software cost per year? It wouldn't be exorbitantly priced, would it? Please send me the link so I can have a look. After a brief moment, the cafe owner entered the website and opened the official site of Xinghai Technology, meticulously reviewing the instructions for the Xinghai Internet Cafe Management software. By the way, if you decide to use this software, you'll need to enter my promotional code, so I can earn a 50 yuan referral fee. The young man mentioned beside the cafe owner. I'll first try it out, if it truly helps me install software on all these computers. Not only will I enter your promotional code, but I'll also recharge 50 yuan on your membership card, the cafe owner concluded, powering on a new computer to begin downloading the software. The boss is quite generous. If this internet cafe management system proves ineffective, I'll help you install all this software today, the young man proclaimed confidently as he reviewed the software's instructions. He found the internet cafe management system to be remarkably advanced, hoping it was not merely false advertising. Chapter 13. The youth achieves remarkable results minutes later. The internet cafe management system was fully installed, and the remaining computers had their client programs set up. As various installation packages were copied to the main hard drive, the cafe owner initiated the one-click installation feature. He watched in amazement as the progress bar advanced rapidly. Within a mere 10 minutes, over 20 new computers had completed the installation of standard software. Next came the installation of commonly used games. The cafe owner, witnessing the spectacle, was left speechless, overwhelmed by the power of this feature. To his astonishment, such an impressive software truly existed. The young man beside him was equally astonished, never having anticipated that the software would operate so effectively. See, I told you I wasn't mistaken, he exclaimed excitedly. The cafe owner smiled and nodded. Indeed, it's quite remarkable. It seems I underestimated its capabilities. I will now enter your referral code and top up your membership card with 50 yuan. With that, the owner proceeded to complete the transaction as agreed. Upon receiving the recommendation reward, the young man felt an overwhelming surge of joy, astonished that mere words could lead to financial gain. At that moment, a spark ignited in his eyes. He refrained from turning on his computer and instead turned away. heading towards another internet cafe nearby. On the streets of the city, a youth clad in a blue garment wandered aimlessly. Just a few days prior, he had reveled in securing a promising job, promoting internet cafe management software for a company. He dedicated 10 days, traversing nearly 100 internet cafes throughout the city, successfully selling over 50 sets of software. However, the company failed to compensate him even a single cent, instead pressuring him to expand their market beyond the province. Ultimately, he was left with no choice but to resign. Consequently, not only did he fail to earn any income, but he also incurred expenses over the course of those 10 days. Suddenly, his cell phone rang, and he received a call that prompted him to hasten towards an internet cafe. The caller was a high school classmate who had since gone to university, while he, despite excelling academically, could not afford tuition and was forced to work. His classmate recommended a new internet cafe management system for him to consider, suggesting that he give it a try if it proved profitable. Initially inclined to decline, the youth was suddenly reminded of the effort he had invested in his previous company without reaping any rewards, and a wave of resentment surged within him. He resolved that if the software was indeed reliable, he would adopt this new management system to replace the one he had previously promoted, as a means of retribution against his former employer. According to the information sent by his classmate, the youth's eyes glimmered with renewed hope. The capabilities of this management system far surpassed those of its competitors. More crucially, his classmate was offering it for 75 yuan, while he could register using the referral code for just 74 yuan. After a moment of reflection, he quickly perused the software instructions. Moments later, he confidently approached the counter. "Boss, has the payment for the internet cafe management system I recommended to you last time been made?" The cafe owner looked up, recognizing the young man who had sold him the management software just days prior, his expression shifting to one of discontent. "Ah, it's you, Xiaozhong. ISNT, there a 2-week trial period for that software? You need to rush me for payment just yet." "Boss, you've misunderstood. I'm not here to press you for payment. I've discovered a new software that not only boasts superior functionality compared to the previous one, but is also priced at just 500 yuan. The most significant advantage is that it requires a one-time payment for lifetime usage." The young man explained with a beaming smile. The owner regarded him with skepticism. "You're not trying to deceive me, are you? I've just gotten accustomed to the operations of this new software. If I switch again, I'll have to familiarize myself all over again." The youth glanced at the 2 computers on the counter. "Boss, you have an idle computer here, don't you? We can simply test it out to see for ourselves. You and T need to pay up front. Fine, we'll give it a try. But you'll be the one to operate it." The owner replied, his eyes glinting with curiosity. "Absolutely." The youth agreed without hesitation. Striding to the counter to power on the spare computer, he swiftly entered the website, downloaded the software, and completed the installation in one go. "Boss, please turn on another available machine. I'll install an auxiliary program for testing." With everything set, the cafe owner personally took the reins, navigating the management software's various features. Impressive. The interface is clear, the functions are straightforward, and the operation is seamless. It's indeed superior to the previous management software. The youth felt a surge of excitement upon hearing this. "As long as it's effective. Boss, remember that this software has a 7-day trial period. So don't forget to recharge before that expires. I'll take my leave now." During the installation, he had already inputted his referral code into the software, marking it as his achievement. Now, he intended to rush to the next internet cafe, aiming to visit all the establishments that had previously adopted the software he promoted. With a clear objective in mind and familiarity with the cafe owners, his promotion speed was remarkably swift. Within just 3 days, he had visited all of the 50-plus internet cafes he had approached earlier, except for a few that had already made their payments. The management systems of the remaining 44 cafes had all been replaced. Gazing at the projected earnings of over 3,000 yuan from the promotional software, his heart swelled with exhilaration. According to the instructions, earnings from the previous week would be distributed every Friday. He had successfully promoted 5 software packages the prior week, allowing him to earn 370 yuan in commission. On Friday morning, he sat before the computer, frequently refreshing the wealth display. Upon noticing a sudden increase of 370 yuan in his account balance, he immediately rose and exited the cafe, determined to venture into a neighboring city to continue promoting the internet cafe management system. On the last Sunday of May, Chu Qianlan returned to the company. The internet cafe management system had been online for 10 days. How had it performed thus far? Zhou Yuan accessed the backend to review the data. After 10 days of accumulation, the online count for the management system reached 1,098, with 325 active paid subscriptions, generating an income of 160,000 yuan. Based on various feedback, most users who had trialed the management system opted to make a payment, indicating that our revenue would significantly increase in the coming period. Hearing this, Chu Qianlan's face broke into a smile. Excellent. I initially thought this promotion was merely a warm-up for the software, paving the way for future free promotion. I never anticipated our internet cafe management system would perform so impressively, even recouping our development costs. Indeed, selling at 500 yuan per set, we've moved such a substantial quantity. Just imagine how it would fare if we offered it for free. Du Ming remarked with a hint of awe. Zhou Yuan then recalled that the software was initially intended for free promotion. A shadow of concern crossed his features. Chu, while the sales situation is favorable now, are we truly going to promote it for free during the summer? Absolutely. It's only by offering it for free that our company's next software will be easier to promote, Chu Qianlan asserted with unwavering determination. But if the software becomes free, it will be unfair to our existing users. They've only had access for a month or two and will have to pay an additional 500 yuan. They are bound to resent our product, Zhou Yuan countered. Chapter 14. Oversight encountering Zhang Mo. Chu Qianlan felt a twinge of embarrassment upon hearing Zhou Yuan's concerns. He had not considered this issue. Neither the memories of Dixing, Chu Hui, nor his own experiences had equipped him with much business acumen. Were it not for Chu Hui's exposure to videos and novels, which imparted a wealth of knowledge, and his own learning from Chu Tianxiong, the company might have already encountered significant problems. Moreover, the library's collection was predominantly technical, lacking resources in other relevant fields, thus hindering Chu Qianlan's ability to seek solutions. Where there's a will, there's a way. I will find a way to resolve this matter, Chu Qianlan declared resolutely. Just as long as you're aware of it, Chu. After so many days, the technical department's personnel had nearly recovered. I plan to gather all the programmers tomorrow to commence development on the StarChat software. Zhou Yuan shifted the conversation towards a new project. Handle it as you see fit. Chu Qianlan waved his hand, still preoccupied with the software's potential free distribution. In recent days, news of individuals profiting from promoting the internet cafe management software had proliferated across various forums. This had attracted a new wave of registrants eager to promote the software. Though most only managed to secure a single sale, likely introducing the software to their own cafe owners. Such occurrences were rampant, blooming across the nation, with their numbers quickly surpassing the combined efforts of Zhang Lei and Lu Daoqing's two teams. In the afternoon, after discussing technical matters related to the StarChat software with Zhou Yuan, Chu Qianlan returned to school. The replication of the Ziguang editing software was nearing its conclusion, and during this period, he had been tirelessly devoted to the task. Upon returning to school, Chu Qianlan spent his days, aside from attending lectures, in front of his computer, diligently coding and continuously refining the software's functionalities. Of course, his notion of attending class did not pertain to passively listening to the teacher expound upon textbook content. Rather, he immersed himself in the knowledge found within the technology library. Since embarking on the endeavor to replicate the Ziguang editing software, Chu Qianlan had ceased his studies in programming. Instead, he began to explore a plethora of technological resources applicable to mobile phones within the library. Whether it concerned batteries, screens, cameras, or memory, flash storage, and processors, he approached each subject with earnest dedication. Though he may not yet possess the ability to create these components, he was resolute in his conviction that he would eventually manufacture them in large quantities. One evening, as Chu Qianlan traversed past an artificial lake on campus, he suddenly overheard a heated argument nearby. Drawing closer, he discerned that one of the disputants was Professor Zhang Mo, a materials science expert and the instructor of an elective course he had taken the previous semester. It was said that this professor specialized in the research and application of battery-related materials. At that moment, Professor Zhang was embroiled in a passionate exchange with another faculty member. My project is only a third of the way through, and if the college cuts the research funding by half, I won't even have enough to purchase materials. I cannot agree to this, Professor Zhang exclaimed, visibly agitated. Professor Zhang, it is not that I do not support you. The school's budget is limited, and we must prioritize projects with a higher likelihood of yielding results. Your project has dragged on for too long. The college cannot indefinitely provide research funding. The other teacher replied, exasperated. It is your meager funding that has delayed my progress. Otherwise, my project would have already borne fruit. Professor Zhang retorted, further inflamed. This decision is the result of discussions between the research office and the finance department. I cannot alter it. Professor Zhang, you might want to reconsider whether to continue with this research project, the other teacher concluded, circumventing Professor Zhang as he departed. With a sigh, Professor Zhang sank onto a nearby bench. Chu Qianlan felt a stir of empathy and approached him. "Hello, Professor. I am Chu Qianlan, a student from your elective course last year." Professor Zhang lifted his gaze to meet Chu Qianlan's, managing a faint smile. "What can I assist you with, young man?" Taking a seat beside Professor Zhang, Chu Qianlan replied, "Professor, my father assembles mobile phones in Huiqiangbai. I have a keen interest in this field and would like to consult you on a few matters." Upon hearing this, Professor Zhang's demeanor shifted to seriousness. "You are interested in mobile phone assembly? I fear I may disappoint you. My knowledge in that area is quite limited." Chu Qianlan quickly interjected, "My inquiries primarily concern batteries. The current mobile phone market predominantly utilizes nickel metal hydride and lithium batteries." As the conversation veered into his area of expertise, Professor Zhang began to elaborate passionately. Chu Qianlan seized the opportunity to pose several questions and express his viewpoints, showcasing his knowledge. With aspirations to enter the mobile phone industry, he sought to connect with talented researchers, and Professor Zhang, a scholar of scientific inquiry, was precisely the individual he admired. Even if Professor Zhang could not eventually join Xinghai Technology, he could potentially introduce him to a network of researchers. Initially, Professor Zhang responded to Chu Qianlan's questions in a routine manner, but as their dialogue deepened, he was astonished to discover that Chu Qianlan not only possessed a solid foundation of knowledge, but also held unique insights into industry trends, an understanding that far exceeded that of a typical undergraduate. "Professor, since you frequently engage in research within the laboratory, might you be familiar with the costs associated with such equipment? If one were to establish a lithium battery laboratory, what would be the approximate financial outlay?" Chu Qianlan suddenly shifted the topic. Professor Zhang regarded him with surprise. Establishing such a laboratory was an endeavor that even ordinary companies would rarely undertake, let alone a typical student. "Chu, you cannot be seriously considering building a laboratory? Such facilities seldom yield research results. Aside from companies with relevant industries, few invest in this area." After offering a cautionary note, he proceeded to answer the question. "A small lithium battery research laboratory would require around 600,000 yuan, a medium-sized one over 2 million, and a large one upwards of 6 million. The exact cost would depend on the sophistication of the equipment acquired. Moreover, this figure only covers renovation and equipment expenses. Venue costs are additional." Chu Qianlan's eyes brightened at this information. "That expense is not too prohibitive." Upon hearing this, Professor Zhang's brow twitched. Here was a professor fretting over a few 100,000 yuan in research funding, while a student was contemplating the establishment of a laboratory. Bear in mind, this is merely the cost to set up the laboratory. Ongoing maintenance and procurement of experimental materials will also incur significant annual expenses. If you merely wish to conduct a few small experiments, the best course is to utilize the school's public laboratory, which is both cost-effective and hassle-free. Chu Qianlan remained undeterred by these considerations. For him, the dividends from Tianxiong Company alone sufficed to sustain the laboratory's operations. Were it not for the considerable financial demands that Xinghai Technology would soon face, he could have already established the laboratory. "Professor Zhang, I plan to establish a laboratory next semester to research various lithium battery technologies. Given your extensive connections, could you assist me in reaching out to some relevant talents?" Professor Zhang momentarily faltered. He had not anticipated that Chu Qianlan not only intended to establish a laboratory, but also sought his assistance in connecting with skilled professionals. Observing the earnestness in Chu Qianlan's demeanor, which betrayed no hint of jest, he re-evaluated the student. "Establishing a lithium battery laboratory is no trivial matter, young man. It requires a considerable financial investment, a professional team, and comprehensive planning. I advise you to contemplate this decision carefully," Professor Zhang cautioned, withholding immediate agreement. "Chu Qianlan noted the solidity. Professor, I have been contemplating this for quite some time. By October at the latest, or as early as July or August, I will establish this laboratory. With my father's support, funding is not an issue. I merely require a few senior researchers." He refrained from mentioning Xinghai Technology, recognizing that trust was not yet established between them. His primary aim was to leave a favorable impression, ensuring he could seek assistance in the future. The conversation soon shifted back to technical matters, with Chu Qianlan deliberately introducing various future directions for lithium battery development, capturing Professor Zhang's attention. While he shared numerous ideas, he remained somewhat guarded, knowing that any experiments based on his suggestions would not yield immediate breakthroughs. After bidding farewell to Professor Zhang, Chu Qianlan made his way back to his dormitory. Although this unexpected encounter had not yielded direct benefits, he was confident that once his laboratory was operational, establishing connections through Professor Zhang would pose no challenge. Nonetheless, this incident served as a reminder to Chu Qianlan as he prepared to enter the mobile phone industry. He needed to begin assembling a cadre of talent without delay. Meanwhile, Zhou Yuan had gathered the programmers and commenced the development of the Xingliao software. With the previous project's bonus invigorating the technical team's enthusiasm, coupled with the recent recruitment of additional programmers, the research and development process was progressing more smoothly than anticipated. Every few days, Zhou Yuan would update Chu Qianlan on their development progress, and whenever they encountered challenges, Chu Qianlan would leverage the knowledge acquired from the technology library to provide assistance. United in their efforts, they steadily advanced the development of the Xingliao software. In terms of promoting the Internet Cafe Management software, as more individuals engaged with it, the software's visibility surged rapidly. A few Internet Cafe owners had even taken the initiative to download and install it from the website without needing external recommendations. Zhang Lei and Lu Daocheng are no longer burdened by the promotion of the Internet Cafe Management system. Their subordinates autonomously seek suitable cafes for promotion. Within a mere span of a few weeks, the duo has amassed several thousand yuan, savoring the sweet taste of success, which has further fueled their enthusiasm for the promotion endeavor. Meanwhile, Chu Qianlan continues to traverse between classrooms and dormitories, absorbing knowledge in the library during lectures, and dedicating his spare time to optimizing the Ziguang editing software. Finally, on June 9th, he successfully completed the replication of the Ziguang editor. With a user-friendly software at his disposal, Chu Qianlan developed the voice conversion module for the Xingliao software in just 2 days. This efficiency surpasses his previous endeavors using C language by more than threefold. However, through this programming experience, Chu Qianlan also became aware of the Ziguang editor's shortcomings, particularly regarding potential discrepancies in the integration of software and hardware. After all, the Ziguang editor is not a native product of Blue Star. The intermediary presence of C language makes such conversion issues somewhat inevitable. In reality, to utilize the program he wrote, it must first be converted into C language, which is unavoidable, as ordinary computers cannot comprehend the Ziguang programming language. Determined to avoid complications, Chu Qianlan resolved to only write programs that do not involve specialized hardware in the future, leaving the adaptation for such hardware to the programmers below him. Early on June 12th, upon arriving at the office, Zhou Yuan discovered the voice conversion module code that Chu Qianlan had sent him. However, the more he examined the code, the deeper his confusion grew. During the development of the Internet Cafe Management software, he had seen Chu Qianlan's code, which was notably neat and comprehensible. Yet, the code he received this time appeared somewhat chaotic. Even with his extensive experience, he struggled to untangle it in a short time. Fortunately, Chu Qianlan's email included a document that outlined various interfaces of the voice conversion module and how to integrate them into the main program. Although he harbored some skepticism regarding the disordered program, he refrained from voicing his doubts. Recognizing Chu Qianlan's position as the boss, he summoned 2 programmers, and the trio diligently tested the module's functionality. The final conclusion revealed that this seemingly chaotic program could amalgamate a dozen different voices and output them clearly. While the resulting sound was somewhat muddled, it did not contain extraneous noise, resembling a scenario where a dozen individuals were conversing simultaneously. With careful listening, one could still discern the words of the person of interest. This effect was quite commendable. After all, if 10 people gathered and spoke, a bystander might not necessarily catch every word spoken. This was the core function of the Xingliao software, as well as its most challenging module, and it was astounding that Chu Qianlan had developed it so swiftly. Zhou Yuan sighed in admiration before saving the voice conversion module and continued organizing the programmers to develop other components of the Xingliao software. Nevertheless, he remained perplexed as to how Chu Qianlan had managed to produce such a disorganized yet functional program module. In truth, Chu Qianlan also felt somewhat helpless regarding the situation. He desired for the program to be more orderly, but once it was converted from the Ziguang editor to C language, it became disheveled. Although he had the capability to tidy it up, the time and effort required, coupled with no enhancement to the program itself, rendered the task unappealing. Having completed the replication of the Ziguang editor and developed the voice conversion module, Chu Qianlan found himself momentarily devoid of programming tasks. His next plan was to create a game that would be linked with the Xingliao software once it launched, thereby generating revenue while further solidifying the market share of Xingliao. However, the game would be quite simple, and he did not intend to partake in its development. The subsequent matters were related to smartphones. The essence of a smartphone lies in its chip and operating system. While he was powerless regarding the chip, he could attempt to tackle the system. The smartphone operating system is relatively complex, encompassing not only software programming, but also the adaptation of various hardware components, a feat that could not be accomplished by a single individual. Even if Chu Qianlan possessed the capability, he would not undertake such a conspicuous and attention-grabbing endeavor. Just as Chu Qianlan was contemplating his next steps, his smartphone suddenly chimed. President Chu, our server is under attack. Please take a look. Chapter 16. Under attack. Upon hearing this news, Chu Qianlan's expression turned grave. He promptly opened his computer and established a remote connection to the company's server to examine the details of the attack. This was a well-organized DDoS assault, with a deluge of malicious traffic inundating the server, causing a drastic spike in load and resulting in some services exhibiting signs of lag and even collapse. Thankfully, the company's technical team was responding adeptly, continually blocking anomalous IPs to alleviate the server's burden. Chu Qianlan swiftly employed several segments of code he had previously written, integrating them into the service area. Soon, all frequently appearing anomalous IPs were blocked, and malicious traffic was reduced by 90%, allowing the server to return to normal, effectively averting the crisis. However, the audacity of the attackers did not sit well with Chu Qianlan. Drawing upon the network security knowledge he had acquired in the technology library, as well as the various small programs he had previously written, he began to search for vulnerabilities in the attacker's approach. After a brief analysis, he discovered that although the attack traffic appeared to originate from different IPs, several penetrations later, he quickly traced it back to the ultimate source of the attack. It was a temporary attacking squad composed of 3 IPs, which had commandeered numerous computers as zombies to launch a DDoS offensive against Xinghai Technology server. In fact, even without Chu Qianlan's intervention, these individuals would have struggled to breach the server's defenses. After all, Zhou Yuan and the others had already initiated countermeasures against the attack. And the worst-case scenario would have seen the on-site technical personnel simply cutting the power to physically isolate the assault. In any case, Xinghai Technology would not incur significant losses. Having identified the perpetrators, Chu Qianlan immediately infiltrated their computers. 2 of them were exceedingly cautious, ensuring that their devices contained no valuable data, leaving him with only a set of addresses. However, the 3rd individual was not so fortunate, perhaps due to overconfidence in his skills. This person's computer contained a plethora of confidential company documents, presumably acquired through hacking methods. Within his computer, Chu Qianlan also discovered a folder named Xinghai Technology, which contained a task list and the internet cafe management software owned by Xinghai Technology. The task list outlined 2 demands: to crack the internet cafe management software and to breach Xinghai Technology's server to erase all internal information. It was evident that the attackers had launched their offensive against his company in response to this directive. Regardless, Chu Qianlan was determined not to let these 3 individuals escape unscathed. He directly commandeered their computers, swiftly destroying their hard drives and motherboards. Furthermore, he took control of the computers to eliminate all connected devices within the local area network. Such losses would surely cause the 3 hackers considerable distress. The issue has been resolved. Everyone, please handle the aftermath and return to your regular rest. After issuing this instruction in the work group, Chu Qianlan logged off. The attack had undoubtedly been a probing effort from a competitor. With only a single software product on the market, the answer was glaringly obvious. However, companies engaged in internet cafe management software typically lack substantial strength. Resorting to employing a few hackers to launch a back-end attack was likely their most formidable tactic, and there was no need for excessive concern. However, this incident served as a wake-up call for Chu Qianlan, highlighting the necessity for more robust protective software for the company's servers. He spent the night at the technology library, discovering a security software named Golden Shield, which he intended to replicate and install on the servers. In a small county town of Manhwa, a young man was fervently typing on his keyboard, lines of code racing across the monitor. Suddenly, a whiff of burnt odor permeated the air, yet the young man paid it no heed. Moments later, the screen before him abruptly went black, and a more acrid scent assaulted his nostrils. What the hell? How could this happen at such a critical moment? The young man sprang to his feet, slamming his hand on the table. He was one of the hackers attempting to breach the servers of Xinghai Technology. Initially believing that this task would be simple and that he could easily complete it for a reward, little did he know he would encounter such an unforeseen setback. In a panic, he attempted to restart his computer, but regardless of his efforts, it remained unresponsive. This is bad, really bad. The young man stomped his feet in frustration, fully aware that his computer housed a trove of illicit information. Now that it was rendered useless, not only had he failed the mission, but he also risked exposing his identity. However, as he glanced around, he noticed that the indicator lights on 2 nearby computers and 1 server were also extinguished. In an instant, his anger dissipated, replaced by sheer terror. He realized he was in deep trouble. Someone had silently infiltrated his computer and, without his awareness, had destroyed 3 computers and a server. The skill of the perpetrator was beyond anything he could fathom. Without a moment's hesitation, the young man donned a nearby jacket, grabbed his wallet, and bolted from the small room. Only after confirming he had put some distance between himself and the scene did he take out his phone and dial a number. What's the situation on your end? What? 2 computers and a server are destroyed? Old 3 is also in trouble? No, we cannot bear the losses. We must confront the employer. They need to take responsibility. Meanwhile, Chu Qianlan was wholly absorbed in replicating the Golden Shield security software. This software, classified as intermediate-level protection in the technology library, far surpassed the security software of Blue Star. It could effectively fend off various common cyber attacks, boasting intelligent monitoring and early warning features that could detect and thwart an attack instantaneously. After days and nights of relentless effort, Chu Qianlan finally completed the replication of the Golden Shield software. Once the encryption was finalized, he promptly installed the software onto the company's servers and conducted a security upgrade. Not stopping there, he also deleted certain features to create a simplified version that could be installed on ordinary computers within the company. With the protection of the Golden Shield software, the company's network security would not face issues in the near term. The development of the Xinghai software continued to progress, and Chu Qianlan was constantly strategizing the company's future plans. Ultimately, he decided to incorporate a wallet feature into the Xinghai software, preparing for future game promotions. Of course, this was merely a basic functional module, not a true wallet. Given the scale of Xinghai Technology, it was currently unqualified to launch a payment platform. The existing wallet feature resembled a gaming account, reliant on the payment functionalities of Xinghai. Even so, Chu Qianlan integrated some protective features of the Golden Shield software into the wallet module to safeguard the wealth within users' wallets. That evening, as Chu Qianlan was finalizing the wallet module of the Xinghai software, Lu Daocheng suddenly inquired, "Old 3, the campus singer competition is about to start. Aren't you going to check it out? What is there to see? It's just a lot of pointless lamentation. Amateur singers competing. Are they really going to produce a classic original song? Chu Qianlan, dites me sin. By the way, Old 3, have you heard about the scandal involving a star from Xinghai Entertainment?" Chapter 17, The Maneuvers of the Entertainment Industry. Chu Qianlan frowned slightly, intrigued by Lu Daocheng's words. Xinghai Entertainment? Which star is in trouble? This doesn't concern us. Lu Daocheng chuckled mysteriously, saying a photo has circulated online, claiming that Xinghai Entertainment's top singer, Li Chaoyang, was caught meeting with a mistress. However, the photo is somewhat blurry, making it difficult to discern the specific identity. A top star in scandal. Xinghai Entertainment is in for a hefty loss. Chu Qianlan, although he did not keep up with the entertainment industry, he understood that first-tier stars wield immense influence. Xinghai Entertainment likely had no more than 3 to 5 top-tier stars. Losing any one of them would be a significant blow. For Chu Qianlan, this situation was merely a source of amusement. Soon after, there was no further discussion in the dormitory. The manager of the artist department at Xinghai Entertainment was bellowing, "How could you let your artist get into such a predicament? Do you have any idea what this could mean for Li Chaoyang and the company's losses?" Su Man, sweating profusely, knew that as a first-tier star, Li Chaoyang had considerable autonomy. Some matters were beyond her control. Even the artist department manager recognized that this situation had little to do with Su Man. Yet when trouble arose, someone had to be held accountable. Naturally, as Li Chaoyang's manager, Su Man was the first in line. "Manager, what should we do now?" Su Man asked weakly. If she could handle this matter flawlessly, she would not face repercussions. However, if Li Chaoyang's career suffered as a result, she would become the company's scapegoat. Continue to contact Li Chaoyang and have him deny the photo incident. The public relations department will do its best to manage the online discourse. Hopefully, we can find something to divert attention, sighed the artist department manager. How about we promote the upcoming campus singer competition at Deep City University? It starts tomorrow and would be a perfect distraction. The artist department manager immediately shook his head. It's just an 18-line star. The impact isn't substantial enough. We can sweeten the deal. Let the composing department create a good song and have Lin Xingxue do something outrageous. By the way, Lin Xingxue's ex-boyfriend's physique is similar to Li Chaoyang's. We could pass him off as a substitute. The next day was Saturday, and Chu Qianlan headed straight to the company. However, Lu Daocheng had swapped out his fruit phone, claiming he needed it to take photos at the campus singer competition. At the company, Chu Qianlan continued to code the Xinghai wallet program. Just as he completed this module and was about to conduct a check, Lu Daocheng called. "Old 3, you become famous. Lin Qingxue won the championship at the campus singer competition and publicly declared your relationship, even claiming you have multiple girlfriends. The most critical part is that Lin Qingxue said that the photo, circulating online yesterday, features you as the male lead. Upon hearing this, a surge of anger welled up within Chu Qianlan. However, he soon caught the latter part of Lu Daoqing's statement and asked, "What photo are you talking about?" "It's the one I mentioned last night, where the individuals appear to be Li Chaoyang and his mistress." After listening to Lu Daoqing's explanation, Chu Qianlan quickly deduced Lin Qingxue's intentions. It was merely an attempt to shape him into the image of a scoundrel while attributing Li Chaoyang's actions to him. In doing so, Lin Qingxue could not only attract traffic through public opinion, but also extricate their company's artists from the maelstrom of controversy. In this process, both Lin Qingxue and Li Chaoyang would benefit, leaving Chu Qianlan as the sole scapegoat. This maneuver was undoubtedly orchestrated by Xinghai Entertainment. Old 3. What do you think we should do now? Just as Chu Qianlan was pondering, Zhang Lei's voice came through the receiver. There must be someone in the front rows recording. Go find a device that captured Lin Qingxue's speech and acquire it as evidence. I shall handle the remaining matters. After admonishing the two individuals, Chu Qianlan promptly dialed 110 to report the incident. Since Xinghai Entertainment sought to implicate him in Li Chaoyang's wrongdoing, he resolved to escalate the situation, ensuring that the truth would be revealed to all. Following the report, the police assured him that they would arrive at the scene shortly and requested Chu Qianlan to return to the university immediately. However, Chu Qianlan did not hasten to leave the company. Instead, he swiftly searched online for the photograph mentioned by Lu Daoqing. Upon downloading it, he realized that the man's physique bore a remarkable resemblance to his own. Yet, he was certain that this individual was not him. Utilizing a photo editing application on his computer, he transformed the originally blurry image into a clear one, despite the angle still obscuring the man's face. The details of his clothing, footwear, and hairstyle became distinctly visible. Anyone familiar with him would recognize the individual at a glance. After completing this task, Chu Qianlan located several popular related posts and, under the guise of a visitor, replied, "The photo has been restored. No need for thanks." He then attached the restored image below. With a scoff, Chu Qianlan shut down his computer and made his way to Deep City University. His editing programs, many sourced from the technological library, surpassed the capabilities of similar applications in 2035. In the context of 2007, they were akin to a cheat code. Lin Qingxue, due to being the final performer, took the stage last. Chu Qianlan was aware that by the time Lin Qingxue slandered him, the campus singer competition had already entered the award presentation phase. When he returned to the university, only a few students remained to dismantle the stage and equipment. Upon entering Deep City University, he noticed several individuals pointing and whispering about him. Clearly, Lin Qingxue's remarks had already gained traction within the school, and the image of him as a scoundrel seemed to have taken root deeply. Old 3, you finally arrived. We purchased this camera, which contains the complete footage of Lin Qingxue slandering you, Zhang Lei remarked. Chu Qianlan took the camera, reviewed its contents, and upon confirming its accuracy, his gaze turned even colder. "Do you know where Lin Qingxue has gone?" he inquired. After the competition, she left with some student council members. "She likely hasn't exited the school yet," Lu Daoqing responded. No sooner had he finished speaking than Chu Qianlan's phone rang. It was the counselor calling. "Chu Qianlan, the security guard informed me that you called the police. What happened?" As soon as the call connected, the counselor's voice reached his ears. Taking a deep breath, Chu Qianlan endeavored to recount the events with as much calmness as possible. "Counselor, Lin Qingxue publicly slandered me during the campus singer competition." The counselor was taken aback, clearly unaware of the news. "Please don't act impulsively. The college should handle this matter. Head to the guidance office. The police should have already arrived there, and I will rush over shortly." After hanging up, a shadow flickered in Chu Qianlan's eyes. From a school's standpoint, it was evident they would prefer to minimize the situation, which was clearly disadvantageous for him. Chapter 18. Right and Wrong Disputes. With the camera in hand, Chu Qianlan strode purposefully towards the guidance office, contemplating his strategy along the way. Upon arriving at the office door, he spotted Lin Qingxue and her manager, Su Man, accompanied by several student council members. It was evident that they had also been summoned by the school staff. At this moment, Lin Qingxue's eyes occasionally sparkled with anxiety. She had not anticipated that merely following her company's directive to utter a few slanderous words against Chu Qianlan would attract the attention of the police. Meanwhile, Su Man wore an expression of smug satisfaction and, upon seeing Chu Qianlan approach, taunted, "Chu Qianlan, you truly dare to come. After all those disgraceful deeds, are you finally feeling afraid?" Chu Qianlan disregarded her provocation and directed his attention to Lin Qingxue, stating, "Slandering others could land you in jail. Are you prepared for that?" With that, he entered the guidance office, accompanied by Zhang Lei and another friend. The police were already present inside. Upon his arrival, they remained silent, instead looking towards a middle-aged man in formal attire. "Director Zhong, this matter is best resolved by your school first," said one officer. Director Zhong nodded slightly and addressed Chu Qianlan. "Chu Qianlan, since you reported the incident, please recount the events as they transpired." "I was not present at the scene. However, I possess the video of Lin Qingxue slandering me," Chu Qianlan replied, activating the nearly ready camera. "At that time, aside from myself, there were 2 other girlfriends present. Although the audio in the video was somewhat noisy, Lin Qingxue's voice was remarkably clear. After the video concluded, Lin Qingxue's complexion turned pale, yet she stubbornly retorted, "I did not slander you. The person in the photo is undoubtedly you, and everyone can see that." Chu Qianlan smirked coldly. "Pray tell. Based solely on a blurry side profile photograph, how could anyone ascertain that it is me? Surely, you're not the only one who can see it, are you? If you cannot prove that the person is indeed me, then you have slandered me. As a public figure, your defamation of me in a public setting has already caused me significant distress, which should warrant a prison sentence." Chu Qianlan's words resonated firmly, and upon hearing the term prison sentence, a flicker of panic crossed Lin Qingxue's eyes, though she maintained a facade of composure. "Do not try to intimidate me. I saw you with my own eyes." Su Man chimed in from the side. "Indeed, do not attempt to turn the tables. Who knows if your video has been tampered with?" Chu Qianlan cast a disdainful glance at her. "In front of so many witnesses, I would be so foolish as to present a doctored video. The current focus is not the video, but how you will prove that the person in that photograph is me." Director Zhong furrowed his brow, turning to Lin Qingxue. "Qingxue, Chu Qianlan raises a valid point. Relying solely on a blurry photograph to identify him in a public forum is indeed problematic. If you cannot provide concrete evidence, you will bear the responsibility for slandering Chu Qianlan." Lin Qingxue bit her lip, her gaze wavering, unable to articulate a response. Both the 2 police officers and Director Zhong possessed considerable societal experience. In their eyes, Lin Qingxue's demeanor was tantamount to an admission of guilt. Su Man attempted to argue further, but one of the police officers interjected, "We have located that photograph online, and it has already been altered by someone." "Lin Qingxue, take a look. Is this Chu Qianlan?" As the officer spoke, he turned the computer monitor to display the restored photograph for all to see, while the face remained indistinct. The clothing and hairstyle were unmistakably clear. Lin Qingxue cast a brief glance, her face instantly draining of color, and instinctively attempted to defend herself. This must surely be his deliberate photo manipulation to confuse the issue. Chu Qianlan responded with a mocking tone. "That image was downloaded from the internet, not obtained from me. Perhaps you should engage your brain before speaking." While he had indeed restored the image, he kept that fact to himself. Who would be any wiser? Director Zhong's expression grew serious. "Lin Qingxue, the evidence is laid bare before us. If you persist in your obstinacy, it will not bode well for you." Seeing the tide turn against them, Su Man hastily altered her stance. "Director Zhong, police officers, this must be a misunderstanding. Lin Qingxue may have been too nervous at the time and misspoke." Director Zhong disregarded her remarks entirely, turning back to Chu Qianlan. "Chu Qianlan, what are your demands regarding the resolution of this matter?" Without a moment's hesitation, Chu Qianlan replied, "Director Zhong, I demand that Lin Qingxue publicly apologize on the university's internal network and her blog, rectifying the negative impact she has caused me." Upon finishing, he fixed a resolute gaze upon Lin Qingxue. "That is unacceptable. If Lin Qingxue apologizes on her blog, her future will be ruined. I suggest an apology on the internal network would suffice." At that moment, a middle-aged female teacher who had been seated beside Director Zhong interjected. "She refused to apologize, and I will destroy her," Chu Qianlan retorted without reservation. The middle-aged female teacher was momentarily at a loss for words, her expression shifting subtly. She had not anticipated that Chu Qianlan would be so resolute, unwilling to yield even in the face of her authority. Director Zhong observed the stalemate between them, sighed, and said, "Student Chu, I understand your feelings. Lin Qingxue's actions have indeed caused you harm, but the repercussions of this matter are too significant. After all, she is still a student, and her future is long." Seeing several teachers attempting to mediate, Chu Qianlan grew impatient. "Director Zhong, one must take responsibility for their actions. She need not apologize as long as the judge agrees." Upon hearing this, Director Zhong ceased his insistence. for he did not wish to see the situation escalate to the courtroom beyond the school's control. The two police officers exchanged glances, and one of them spoke up. Director Zhong, based on the current evidence, if Chu Qianlan insists on pursuing this, Lin Qingxue could face at least 10 days of detention. If both parties can reach a settlement, it would be beneficial for everyone. Upon hearing this, everyone turned to Lin Qingxue, awaiting her decision. At that moment, Lin Qingxue bit her lip, her eyes reddening, deeply conflicted. Su Man also recognized the gravity of the situation, urging, Qingxue, it's best to concede for now. The company will compensate you later. After a moment's hesitation, Lin Qingxue took a deep breath and reluctantly stated, Chu Qianlan, I'm sorry. I should not have defamed you at the campus singer competition. I will publicly apologize to you on the school network and my blog. Chu Qianlan regarded her with an icy demeanor. I hope you honor your word. Should your apology lack sincerity or fail to be posted on time, I will not let this matter rest. Witnessing the temporary resolution, Director Zhong breathed a sigh of relief. Since the issue has been settled, everyone may return. Lin Qingxue, you have caused quite the uproar, and the school will impose disciplinary actions, so brace yourself. Director Zhong, this Chu Qianlan is no ordinary student, remarked one of the officers after all the students had departed. Perhaps, fortunately, he didn't cling to the legal route. Chapter 19. Consequences as soon as he exited the office. Qianlan Bao said, I reiterate, I have no intention of entering the entertainment industry, and I will not be sharing insights about its rules with you. I hope we can coexist without interfering with one another. Su Man scoffed, a flicker of resentment in her eyes, yet constrained by Chu Qianlan's assertiveness. She dared not say more, merely dragging the resentful Lin Qingxue away. Zhang Lei could not suppress his comments. Old 3, are you really letting them off the hook? Lin Qingxue has gone too far, and Su Man has threatened you before. They shouldn't get off so easily. Chu Qianlan shook his head slightly. This is a school. We cannot act too ruthlessly. A public apology is likely the school's bottom line. If Lin Qingxue wishes to pursue a career in the entertainment industry, then a public apology is the best punishment for her. Lu Daoqing concurred. Old 3 is right. We cannot do as we please. However, we can keep tabs on Lin Qingxue's blog and the school network to save her apology post. Later, when she becomes famous, we can capitalize on it. Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan's expression stiffened. He had not anticipated that the leader would hold such a grudge. Nevertheless, he quickly intervened, storing it as fine, but no need for any publicity. I have no desire for fame at this moment. Zhang Lei suddenly interjected, Old 3, do you remember the female teacher beside Director Zhong? She is the vice dean of the art college and a professor. By publicly confronting her, you have undoubtedly offended her. Offended or not, we are from the physics department, and she has no authority over us. Chu Qianlan. He had access to the technology library. Even without attending university, his personal development would not be hindered. On their way back to the dormitory, the trio received a call from their counselor, who had just arrived at the school. After discussing the final resolution of the matter and offering comfort to Chu Qianlan, the call concluded. Ultimately, Lin Qingxue publicly defamed Chu Qianlan, leading to her apology on both her blog and the school network, which was deleted 3 days later. The school also issued a reprimand against Lin Qingxue. However, Xinghai Entertainment did not abandon Lin Qingxue. According to rumors from students in the art college, upon returning to the company, although she temporarily ceased singing, she was assigned a role in a film and hurriedly joined the cast. In truth, the orchestrated defamation by Xinghai Entertainment, albeit clumsily executed with numerous flaws, had a high success rate. Some matters cannot be judged by conventional reasoning. Had Chu Qianlan not reacted promptly to halt the escalation, the situation could have spiraled out of control, with other stars lending their support to Lin Qingxue. Many fans of these celebrities are quite fanatical. They do not heed reason, only knowing their idol is right. Even if those stars later apologize, fans will believe it to be due to external pressure that forced their idols to concede. For instance, after Lin Qingxue's apology post, many of her fans continued to hurl insults at Chu Qianlan online. Fortunately, Chu Qianlan had not registered his blog under his real name. Otherwise, he would undoubtedly have faced mindless attacks from Lin Qingxue's fans. Even so, the negative rumors stemming from Lin Qingxue's slander persisted in the school for a considerable time. Thankfully, he remained indifferent, continuing to attend classes, program, and manage his company. At that moment, Chu Qianlan was developing an artificial intelligence program, a decision he had made after considerable contemplation. The artificial intelligence technology in the technology library was highly advanced, allowing Chu Qianlan to replicate it for his use. Although artificial intelligence could not take over company management, it could assist Chu Qianlan in overseeing internal affairs. As the company expanded, various issues would inevitably arise. But with the supervision of artificial intelligence, many matters could be foreseen and strategically planned in advance. However, the artificial intelligence program was vast, and Chu Qianlan estimated it would take nearly a year to complete the core components. As for the additional features, he could gradually incorporate them over time. As July approached, with the school curriculum winding down, Chu Qianlan found himself spending increasing amounts of time at the company. After a month and a half of promotion, Xinghai Technology's internet cafe management software had sold over 6,000 licenses, amassing nearly $3 million in funds for the company. It could be said that the software, initially defined by Chu Qianlan as free, not only recouped its development costs, but also yielded an additional $200,000 in profit. This success was partly due to the software's user-friendly interface and powerful features, particularly its one-click installation function, which saved internet cafe owners a significant amount of time. As July rolled in, the Xingliao software had completed its basic programming and was ready for testing its functionality and stability before external promotion. During this period, Chu Qianlan dedicated his days to the company, collaborating with the technical team to optimize software performance in the mornings and replicating the artificial intelligence program in the afternoons. President Chu, the Xingliao software has completed testing and the interface has been modified per your specifications, Zhou Yuan announced as he opened the door to Chu Qianlan's office. Excellent. Let me take a look. Chu Qianlan promptly updated the Xingliao software on his computer. He quickly checked the previously requested modifications, confirming they had been completed. Then, he proceeded to test the basic functions such as registration, login, adding friends, and creating groups, one by one. At this point, the Xingliao software featured a clean and aesthetically pleasing interface with a straightforward operational logic. Anyone with internet access could become proficient in just a few minutes. Well done, Zhou. And thank you all for your hard work during this period. Let us add the company's customer service hotline to the advertisement space. As per our plan, we shall make it public and officially launch it, Chu Qianlan stated with satisfaction. Zhou Yuan responded affirmatively and continued. Director Chu, do we have any specific promotional strategies that require the assistance of our technical department? Chu Qianlan, noting that the company would not actively promote the Xingliao software in the coming days. You should embed the download icon of Xingliao software into the internet cafe management software, while granting whitelist permissions to ensure that it remains undisturbed upon shutdown of the cafe computers. During the development of the internet cafe management software, I had already laid the groundwork for promoting Xingliao software. Once the Xingliao software is integrated, the one-click installation feature will automatically select the Xingliao icon. If the internet cafe owner does not deselect the option, the software will be installed on the designated computers. Furthermore, the icon will also appear among the frequently used software compiled by the management system on each computer in the cafe, enticing users to download it. Shall we proceed with a direct update, or send a reminder for the cafe owner to update it themselves? Zhou Yuan inquired further. Simply adding an icon does not necessitate a version update. However, a system window could be displayed to explain the changes and introduce the Xingliao software. Chapter 20. The launch of Xingliao, the Goose Factory, remained indifferent. Wang Feng, an internet cafe owner with a passion for gaming, usually worked the night shift. When the late hours arrived and the cafe was quiet, he would gather teams to play games. One day, while idly sitting at the bar waiting for customers, he mused that only 2 more overnight patrons were needed to fill all the machines, allowing him to game without restraint. Suddenly, a small window popped up in the bottom right corner of his main computer screen. Wang Feng paused. Since installing the internet cafe management system a month ago, many pop-up ads had been blocked, creating a significantly quieter environment. Instinctively, he reached to close the window, but noticed the text above it read announcement from Xinghai Technology, causing him to hesitate. He recalled that Xinghai Technology was the company behind the internet cafe management software. He promptly clicked on the window to open the announcement. The content outlined that Xinghai Technology had developed a new software, with the icon now added to the internet cafe management system. Cafe owners could choose to install it or not, with detailed instructions provided. After quickly scanning the information, Wang Feng grew curious about the software's capabilities. According to the description, the Xingliao software facilitated multi-user voice interactions. If effective, it would enhance coordination for teams playing together. With this thought, Wang Feng shifted his gaze and opened the internet cafe management software, initiating the one-click installation of the Xingliao software. The main computer began downloading the installation package, which then shared the software across all computers in the cafe that were underutilized. Boss, what is this software? A young man seated nearby inquired. It's a voice chat software that gamers might find useful. Wang Feng replied casually. Isn't there already a product from Goose Factory? Why download another redundant software? The youth grumbled, falling silent thereafter. Wang Feng smiled, choosing not to engage with the complaint. Soon, the installation of the Xingliao software completed. Wang Feng registered and logged in, taking a moment to familiarize himself with it before notifying a few friends he often gamed with to register as well. At this point, several customers had arrived, filling all the machines with overnight patrons. Wang Feng minimized the internet cafe management system and began adding friends and creating group chats on the Xingliao software. Brothers, let us test this new software. It reportedly allows for voice communication. If it works well, we shall dominate today, he announced. Before long, 5 participants joined the group chat, and they began adjusting their headsets. Hello, can you hear me? Wang Feng asked, loud and clear. This software is quite reliable, a friend responded. During their gaming session, the audio transmitted through the headsets was crisp, with almost no noise or delay. Communication flowed seamlessly, and their teamwork was impeccable, leading to an effortless victory in the game. This software is remarkable. We should definitely use it for our future teams. One friend exclaimed. Indeed, the voice function surpasses that of PP, though it lacks additional features. It seems tailored for gamers like us. The friends praised the Xingliao software, and Wang Feng felt a sense of pride, believing he had uncovered a hidden gem. He resolved to recommend the Xingliao software to other patrons, positioning it as a unique offering of his cafe. Across the nation, numerous internet cafes like his existed, and within just a day, 5,000 users had registered for the Xingliao software. With the growing number of registrations, the software's influence began to expand, with blogs and major forums featuring discussions about it, further promoting its download rate. Even the sales of the internet cafe management system saw an uptick as a result. As the industry leader in instant messaging software, the Goose Factory maintained a vigilant watch over any emerging competitors. The rapid rise of Xingliao software soon drew their attention. In a tense atmosphere within the Goose Factory's conference room, a group of executives and technical experts gathered around the table to review an analysis report submitted by the marketing department regarding Xingliao software. What is the story behind this Xingliao software? It has amassed 100,000 registered users in such a short time. If this trend continues, it could pose a significant threat to our dominance with PP, remarked a senior executive overseeing PP operations, breaking the silence. Our investigation reveals that the company developing Xingliao software previously created an internet cafe management system that captured a significant market share due to its high performance and low cost. Their promotion of Xingliao software is conducted through these internet cafes, a market researcher explained. The operations executive let out a sigh of relief. Realizing that promotion through the internet cafe management system had its limitations, the rate of rapid growth was unlikely to last long. How does the functionality of this Xingliao software compare to our PP? Are there many overlapping features? Another executive continued to inquire. Besides the basic functionalities, Xingliao software only offers group chat and wallet modules. The wallet, similar to a regular gaming account, is based on Zayakaibo. The group chat feature includes a multi-user voice mode, which is absent in our PP, the analyst reported. Surprised, the executive questioned, such a rudimentary software, even with internet cafe recommendations, how could it attract 100,000 registrations? Director, their multi-user voice mode is exceptionally suited for gaming teams. Many young patrons frequenting internet cafes are drawn to this particular feature, the market researcher clarified. Technical team, can you replicate this functionality? Inquired the founder of Goose Factory, Xiao Ma, who sat at the head of the table. Chairman, we have been researching this technology for a long time, but have yet to overcome the noise issue. A technical expert responded directly. Very well. Then study their technology and strive for a breakthrough swiftly. Xiao Ma concluded, refraining from further comments. Chairman, how should we respond to this software? Should we suppress it or allow it to develop freely? An operations supervisor asked. This software primarily caters to gamers and is unlikely to become mainstream. For now, we shall not concern ourselves with them. However, monitor them closely. If they attempt to introduce additional features, we must take it seriously. On the other side, as the number of users on StarChat rapidly increased, Xinghai Technology was compelled to swiftly augment its server rentals. This, in turn, signified a continuous rise in the company's expenses. With merely 100,000 registered users, Chu Qianlan had already expended 150,000 on server rentals. Although there existed a certain number of idle servers, the relentless influx of registered users necessitated further expansion. Fortunately, this 150,000 was the annual cost for the servers. Otherwise, his funds would not sustain operations for long. Armed with the operational experience of recent days, Chu Qianlan resolved to review the accounts and assess his financial situation. Chapter 21. Remaining funds in the laboratory. Accountant Zhang Yu reported, Mr. Chu, the company's registered capital is 1 million. The initial expenses for renting the office space and the daily expenditures for the first month were not recorded in the company account. In the past few months, salaries, benefits, and daily expenses have totaled 620,000, while the revenue from the Internet Cafe management software, after promotional costs, stands at 267 million. Recently, we have incurred a server rental expense of 150,000. Currently, the account shows a remaining balance of 314 million. After a brief contemplation, Chu Qianlan inquired, excluding the server rental costs, how much funding will our company require to operate until October? Zhang Yu swiftly calculated, given the current scale of the company. The technical department's overtime estimates suggest that salaries will amount to over 700,000, and with additional expenses, approximately 900,000 will be necessary. This indicated that 2 million remained available for server rentals. All right, I understand. You may proceed with your work. Once Zhang Yu departed, Chu Qianlan fell into deep thought. The company's most significant expenditure was indeed the server rentals. The earlier investment of 150,000 could support a maximum of 100,000 concurrent users of the StarChat software. Although the registered user count had yet to reach 110,000, the number of simultaneous users had already surged to 70,000 the previous night, and breaching the 100,000 mark was merely a matter of time. According to Chu Qianlan's estimates, the StarChat software could eventually accommodate over 1 million users concurrently. If projected for 200,000 users, the annual cost for server rentals would amount to 3 million. With 14 million in the account, this could sustain operations for a considerable period, allowing him to allocate the remaining 4 million in cash towards other ventures. Reflecting on this, Chu Qianlan lamented the scarcity of talent around him. He had previously contacted a headhunting firm to seek an experienced HR manager, yet found the resumes provided to be unsatisfactory. Such high-caliber professionals were rare and could only be encountered by chance. Thus, he had to wait patiently. Recently, while at the technology library, Chu Qianlan had come across a simple electrolyte formula. This electrolyte, with a low production cost, could serve as a substitute for the electrolytes currently utilized in lithium batteries. Should he successfully develop this electrolyte, he could license its production to others and collect royalties. After much contemplation, Chu Qianlan resolved to allocate 2 million to establish a lithium battery research laboratory. With his determination solidified, Chu Qianlan promptly sprang into action, contacting the management office of the technology park to inquire about available laboratory rentals. Nanshan Technology Park offered not only office spaces, but also laboratories and manufacturing facilities for lease. Upon learning of Chu Qianlan's intent to rent a laboratory, the management office promptly dispatched personnel to assist him. Within a mere afternoon, he secured a laboratory exceeding 300 square meters. The management office even introduced him to several companies that sold various experimental equipment. The following afternoon, free from classes, Chu Qianlan visited Professor Zhang Mo at the Materials Institute, armed with plans for the laboratory. Noticing the office door ajar, he gently knocked twice before entering. Upon seeing Chu Qianlan, Professor Zhang paused momentarily, then greeted him with a smile. Ah, it's you, Chu. What brings you here? Delighted that the professor remembered his surname, Chu Qianlan replied with a smile. Hello, Professor Zhang. I am in the process of planning a lithium battery laboratory. Here is the preliminary layout. I would appreciate your insights and guidance. As he spoke, he handed the document to Professor Zhang. This document had been hastily prepared the previous night, with the equipment types referenced for materials in the library. Professor Zhang examined the document with diligence, occasionally furrowing his brow in thought. After a considerable time, he retracted his focus and remarked, while your theoretical foundation is solid, it appears that you have little practical experience with related experiments. Many configurations in this laboratory setup are incompatible. For instance, this spectroscopy analyzer is intended for large laboratories, while this coder is suitable for small-scale labs. Chu Qianlan at the TV. Nodding continuously, you are absolutely correct, Professor Zhang. It is precisely because I lack knowledge in these areas that I sought your advice. Professor Zhang pondered for a moment before suggesting, based on the materials you provided, it seems you aim to establish a medium-sized laboratory. I recommend assembling a technical team first before proceeding to purchase experimental equipment. Chu Qianlan hurriedly interjected, Professor Zhang, I am indeed troubled by this matter. I wish to form a professional technical team, Yet such talent is virtually non-existent in the job market. Given your extensive network, could you assist me in introducing a few candidates? Professor Zhang shook his head. I know several individuals who have made significant contributions in the field of lithium batteries. But given your current circumstances, it is unlikely you would be able to entice them. This outcome was anticipated by Chu Qianlan, as he recognized his lack of reputation and the nascent stage of his laboratory, lacking any allure. Professor, do you have any graduated students who can conduct experiments independently? They only need to validate some of my ideas through experimentation. If any issues arise, they can consult you. Chu Qianlan did not expect to engage top-tier experts from the outset. His goal was to recruit a technical staff member through Professor Zhang, fostering a closer relationship between them. With the technological resources from the science library, he felt confident in gradually attracting Professor Zhang to his laboratory. Professor Zhang's eyes lit up. I have a student who was recently laid off due to a company restructuring and is currently seeking employment. He could potentially bring his team to your laboratory. Chu Qianlan felt a surge of joy. That is splendid news, Professor Zhang. Please expedite the connection. My laboratory preparations require such talent. Rest assured regarding salary. I will ensure he receives a satisfactory offer. Professor Zhang nodded, promptly dialing the number of the student and briefly explaining the situation. The student expressed interest and was willing to meet with Chu Qianlan for further discussions. Professor, once the laboratory is established, should I have no tasks at hand? You are welcome to bring your team over for experiments, Chu Qianlan offered. From their previous encounter, he noted that Professor Zhang's research projects at the Materials Institute were not progressing smoothly. Should conditions permit, Chu Qianlan would not hesitate to extend a favor. Thank you, Chu. This is quite appealing, Professor Zhang admitted. His research funding had been significantly reduced this year. Utilizing Chu Qianlan's laboratory would certainly expedite the project as progress. With the objectives of this visit achieved, Chu Qianlan bade farewell to Professor Zhang. However, upon opening the door to his dormitory, he was met with a palpable atmosphere of gloom. What has happened? Why does everyone look so distressed? Chapter 22. Price Reduction Proposal. Xingyuan. Lu Daoqing sighed and spoke first. Finally, you're back, third brother. Other companies' internet cafe management systems are slashing prices. Some have even dropped to 300. Today's promotional data is dismal. Zhang Lei echoed. I am experiencing the same situation. Sales have plummeted significantly. The number of software installations is less than half of what it was yesterday. At this moment, Chu Qianlan, who had been tense, relaxed upon hearing this. I thought it was something serious. You gave me quite a scare. It's entirely normal for software prices to drop in a highly competitive market. However, with fewer software sales, won't your earnings diminish as well? Zhang Lei remarked with a hint of regret. I never expected this internet cafe management system to generate substantial profits. The current results are already commendable. Chu Qianlan explained with a smile. Oh, I see. It appears our part-time endeavor is nearing its conclusion. Lu Daoqing sighed, feeling a touch of reluctance. In less than 2 months, he had earned over 20,000 yuan from this side job, a feat he had never dared to imagine before. Don't be hasty. Your part-time work will continue for a while longer. However, the promotional price will be slightly reduced, Chu Qianlan reassured them. Do you have any other plans? Zhang Lei inquired, with Lu Daoqing also casting a curious glance. Do you remember when we first started this part-time work? I initially mentioned that this internet cafe management system would be free. But after careful consideration, I believe we should charge a fee. I plan to set the price at 50 yuan, which will serve as your promotional compensation. 50 yuan? That's rather steep. Other companies' internet cafe management systems might find it difficult to survive. Lu Daoqing lamented. They might simply offer it for free. Chu Qianlan, he was indifferent to the fates of those competitors. What about your existing customers if you suddenly lower the price? Lu Daoqing suddenly questioned. Since Zhou Yuan raised this issue, he had been contemplating a solution. While working on the wallet module for the Xingliao software, he finally devised a plan. I intend to distribute 500 Xing coins as compensation. If anyone is dissatisfied, they can submit a request after January 1st next year to exchange the 500 Xing coins for 450 yuan. The so-called Xing coins are virtual currency within the Xingliao wallet, with 1 Xing coin equating to 1 yuan. This proposal was the result of Chu Qianlan's thorough deliberation. Currently, he was somewhat strapped for cash and could not afford direct refunds, yet he could not ignore a significant price drop. After all, the Xingliao software was still associated with the internet cafe management system. By temporarily using Xing coins as compensation, he not only resolved the financial issue, but also laid groundwork for the upcoming game launch. Your Xing coins seem rather useless at the moment, don't they? Zhang Lei remarked, looking somewhat bemused at Chu Qianlan. Just because they are of no use now does not mean they won't be useful in the future. We are developing a minigame, and once it is launched, Xing coins will come into play, Chu Qianlan chuckled. I believe this compensation plan is quite reasonable. They have already exchanged money for the software. The third party has no obligation to compensate. Being able to use virtual currency for compensation is already quite generous. If they're truly dissatisfied, they can convert the virtual currency to cash next year. Lu Daocheng concurred. Upon hearing this, Zhang Lei also found it reasonable. Since you have considered everything, we shall proceed as you suggest. When you plan to implement the price reduction, we should inform those promoting it outside. Chu Qianlan waved his hand dismissively. We have our final exam on the 15th. Let us set the price reduction for 8 a.m. on the 16th. On the evening of the 15th, I will issue a notice on the promotional software. After concluding their discussion regarding the price reduction of the Internet Cafe Management System, Chu Qianlan returned to typing on the keyboard, replicating the artificial intelligence program. Meanwhile, Zhang Lei and Lu Daocheng ceased their worries about the price drop of other management systems and began reviewing their textbooks to prepare for the final exams. 2 days later, Chu Qianlan met Li Yang, a student of Professor Zhang Mo. Despite having recently faced unemployment, Li Yang possessed solid professional knowledge and was well-versed in the experimental procedures for lithium battery electrolytes. The two engaged in delightful conversation as Chu Qianlan briefly outlined the job requirements and made it clear that after completing his experiments, Li Yang could have full control over the laboratory. Naturally, the results of the laboratory would belong to the company, which would also distribute corresponding bonuses. Li Yang was quite intrigued by some of the technical aspects presented by Chu Qianlan, and the prospect of having control over the laboratory led him to decide on the spot to join Chu Qianlan's company. Additionally, his 4 former subordinates would also accompany him into the laboratory. Chu Qianlan, however, did not intend to place the laboratory under Xinghai Technology. Some time ago, he had instructed Su Fong from the administration department to register a new company. The new company, named Shenzhen Xingyuan Exploration Company, Limited, had a registered capital of 2 million. However, the new company had no other employees. The finance and cashier roles were filled by personnel from Xinghai Technology on a part-time basis, and other departments were not yet necessary. With Li Yang's team joining, the preparations for the lithium battery laboratory began to accelerate. Li Yang and his colleagues were very familiar with the necessary equipment and quickly compiled a procurement list before reaching out to suitable suppliers. The prices they secured for the equipment were 3 to 40% lower than the quotes from the manufacturers recommended by the tech park. As the equipment arrived at the laboratory, Li Yang and his team busied themselves. Occasionally, Professor Zhang Mo from the academy would bring a few students to lend a hand. With the final exams approaching, the atmosphere at the academy became increasingly tense, prompting even Du Ming, who had been coding daily for his part-time job, to pick up his books and begin reviewing key materials. Although Chu Qianlan had already mastered most of the knowledge points, he did not wish to appear overly aloof. He too brought his textbook to study the content projected by the library. Old 3, the exam for mathematical physics methods is tomorrow. How have you prepared? Professor Su Dinghua docked you 15 points for your usual performance, so you need to score above 70 to avoid failing. Zhang Lei turned to Chu Qianlan. Scoring 70 should be a piece of cake. Chu Qianlan pondek on feed in. Oh, Old 3, such bravado. Just don't end up eating your words. Professor Su's questions can be quite challenging, so don't underestimate them, Zhang Lei teased, observing Chu Qianlan's unshakable confidence. They may be difficult for you, but for me, they are nothing. The next day, upon entering the examination room, Chu Qianlan frowned slightly as he discovered that Kong Lingua was seated beside him. Chu Qian, you're also in this exam room. I'm eager to see how you manage to avoid failing, given the many points deducted from your usual performance. Don't even think about cheating. I'll be watching you closely. Kong Lingua immediately spotted Chu Qianlan. It's just an exam. Why would I need to cheat? It seems your revision hasn't been very effective, and you're likely to fail. Chu Qianlan scoffed, casting a disdainful glance at him. Kong Lingua's face flushed red, ready to retort, but the invigilator stepped onto the podium, signaling the start of the exam. Submit anything unrelated to the exam, and focus on answering the questions without whispering. Seeing this, Kong Lingua could only glare fiercely at Chu Qianlan before turning back to prepare for the exam. After the papers were distributed, Chu Qianlan quickly skimmed through the questions. For him, these posed no challenge whatsoever. He wrote with remarkable speed, completing all the questions in less than half an hour. He even deliberately wrote incorrect answers for a few minor questions. In his view, scoring 90 would already put him far ahead of most classmates, and achieving a perfect score would be too ostentatious, contradicting his principle of maintaining a low profile. During the answering process, Chu Qianlan could distinctly sense Kong Lingua glancing his way from time to time. likely searching for any signs of cheating. After finishing his own exam paper, Chu Qianlan turned to observe Kong Lingua, who was furrowing his brow, anxiously scratching his head over the questions. It is evident that the examination paper contained numerous questions that eluded him. An hour and a half elapsed, and, as the exam concluded, Chu Qianlan emerged from the examination hall with an air of ease, while Kong Lingua appeared despondent. "How did you fare, third brother?" Zhang Lei inquired as he approached. "It went reasonably well. I performed as expected, and 80 should be within reach." Chu Qianlan replied with confidence. "I had no doubt you would do well. However, that fellow Kong Lingua seems to be in a rather dire state today, fretting incessantly. He is likely to fail," Zhang Lei remarked with a chuckle. University examinations are rather dispersed, with 1 or 2 subjects being tested each day, extending the duration of the assessment period. It was not until the morning of the 15th that the physics department finally concluded its final examination. "According to your plan, the price for the Internet Cafe Management System will drop tomorrow. Can we inform the promoters today?" Lu Daocheng said, rubbing his hands together. Though the promotional price had diminished, he felt that his earnings would increase significantly. "We can certainly give them a heads up. Despite the reduction in promotional costs, the system's price has also decreased. At just 50 yuan, it is practically a giveaway. I believe promoting it will be much easier," Chu Qianlan explained. "What are your plans for the holiday?" Zhang Lei asked Lu Daocheng and Du Ming. Given that Chu Qianlan's family resided locally, there was no need for inquiry. He would undoubtedly return home. As for the 3 of them, who hailed from out of town, they needed to deliberate on their holiday arrangements. Du Ming adjusted his glasses and said, "I intend to stay at Qianlan's company to continue my part-time job. It will allow me to earn some extra income while accumulating experience." Lu Daocheng scratched his head and remarked, "I initially planned to return home, but given that we are in a critical promotion phase for the Internet Cafe Management System, my absence would undoubtedly hinder the promotion efforts. I will remain and work diligently alongside third brother. Who knows, I might earn a substantial amount this holiday." Zhang Lei chuckled as he patted Lu Daocheng on the shoulder. "Well, it seems you have prioritized profit over homecoming, but that is fine. I, too, do not intend to return." Chu Qianlan rolled his eyes. "If you all don't wish to go home, spare me the excuses." Subsequently, Chu Qianlan and Du Ming headed to the company, while Zhang Lei and Lu Daocheng busied themselves making phone calls and disseminating information across various promotional groups, detailing the new promotional prices and strategies. Although many promoters expressed dissatisfaction with the reduced promotional fees, upon learning that the software was priced at only 50 yuan, they readily agreed to continue promoting it. At 8 o'clock that evening, Chu Qianlan promptly issued a price reduction announcement on the promotional software. Concurrently, a notification was dispatched via the Internet Cafe Management software. The essence conveyed was that, in response to competitors lowering their prices, Xinghai Technology had reduced the price of its Internet Cafe Management System to 50 yuan, also outlining the compensation scheme and the method for claiming compensation. The following morning at 8, the Internet Cafe Management System officially dropped to 50 yuan. Within mere minutes, 89 orders were placed. These were from users who had previously trialed the product and promptly returned to make their purchases upon hearing of the price drop. Following this initial surge, the number of paying customers declined. Chu Qianlan was confident that an increasing number of internet cafes would adopt the Internet Cafe Management System developed by Xinghai Technology. As expected, from that afternoon onwards, the download volume of the Internet Cafe Management System began to rise steadily. At that moment, Chu Qianlan's attention shifted to the project currently being developed by the technical department. Since the launch of the Xingliao software, he had entrusted the 3rd project to the technical team. Recently, the programmers in the technical department had been working diligently to develop it. The new project was a well-known minigame, Happy Farm. While the game is simple, its addictive nature is profound, ensnaring players effortlessly. What progress have we made? And when can we expect to produce the initial version? Upon seeing that it was Chu Qianlan, Zhou Yuan paused his typing. "President Chu, the foundational framework for Happy Farm has been successfully established, and most of the scene and item modeling has been completed. However, we still require additional time for the game's interactive features and some detail optimizations. At the current pace, we should be able to produce a preliminary version within half a month." Chu Qianlan nodded and remarked, "Excellent. I appreciate the hard work everyone has put in during this time. However, we must prioritize the game's stability. We cannot compromise quality in a rush to meet deadlines. Additionally, the item system and social interaction features within the game need to be optimized meticulously, as they are crucial for attracting players." Zhou Yuan promptly responded, "Understood, President Chu. We have already dedicated considerable effort to this aspect. Features like players stealing crops and planting will be designed to be as engaging as possible. As for the item system, We are considering realistic elements while incorporating some fantastical elements. After pondering for a moment, Chu Qianlan continued, with the price reduction of the Internet Cafe Management System, we can anticipate a substantial increase in installations, which will likely lead to a significant surge in the installation of the Xingliao software. Please keep a close eye on the server's performance. We must ensure there are no lags. Zhou Yuan assured him, rest assured, President Chu, I have already communicated with my colleagues responsible for the servers. We will closely monitor the operational status of the servers and be prepared for expansion at any moment to ensure an optimal user experience. Chu Qianlan patted Zhou Yuan's shoulder. With you at the helm, I feel much more at ease. Not long after returning to his office, Human Resources Representative Manhwa entered. President Chu, here are 2 resumes sent over by the headhunting company. Please place them on my desk, Chu Qianlan replied, continuing to type away at the keyboard. After quite some time, he finally paused his coding and casually picked up the 2 resumes. The first was from a personnel manager at a state-owned steel factory, showcasing impressive capabilities. However, after a brief glance, Chu Qianlan set it aside. While it is not necessary for a human resources manager to possess technical knowledge, having a certain network is imperative. It will be challenging for a personnel manager from a state-owned enterprise to source talents related to high-tech industries. Next, he picked up the second resume. The second candidate recommended by the headhunting firm was named Zhang Jinshan, a personnel manager at a mobile phone company. However, this mobile phone company was on the brink of collapse due to its inability to keep pace with the evolving market. Upon reading this, Chu Qianlan felt a surge of excitement. Zhang Jinshan had spent years navigating the mobile phone industry, undoubtedly amassing a wealth of management experience and an extensive network within the sector, perhaps even resolving his pressing talent shortage. As he perused the resume, Chu Qianlan noted Zhang Jinshan's substantial achievements in talent recruitment and team building. He had previously assisted senior management in establishing a formidable research and development team. Furthermore, this individual possessed a thorough understanding of the distribution and development trends of technical talents within the mobile phone industry, precisely the type of talent he desperately sought. Consequently, Chu Qianlan contacted the headhunting company, requesting they reach out to Zhang Jinshan for an interview. However, Zhang Jinshan was still employed, and even if he successfully interviewed and expressed willingness to join the company, he would require time to transition from his current role, making an immediate start unfeasible. That afternoon, Chu Qianlan received word that Zhang Jinshan would come in for an interview on the afternoon of the 18th. After a full day of coding, just as Chu Qianlan was preparing to leave for home, a customer service representative entered with a notebook. President Chu, here are the companies that have called recently, expressing interest in advertising on Xingliao. Several companies have followed up multiple times. Chu Qianlan took the notebook and observed that it was filled with names of various gaming companies. It was apparent they recognized that the majority of Xingliao users are young gamers, making it more efficient to promote games to this demographic. Should they call again? Inform them that our company charges based on click-through rates, with charges applied when users click on the advertisement link leading to a new web page. Let them propose their own rates. We will meticulously select our partners. After Chu Qianlan finished speaking, he intended to return the notebook to the other party. President Chu, there is another company below. They are not looking to advertise, but rather to pursue a business collaboration. The specifics have not been disclosed to me. Upon hearing the customer service reminder, Chu Qianlan glanced at the last entry, Modu Changlian Development Company, Limited. He had not heard of this company before. It likely was not a major player. Please provide their contact information to Assistant Su Fang and have her arrange for them to come over. After receiving the task, Su Fang promptly contacted Modu Changlian. The other party, upon learning of the invitation from Xinghai Technology, appeared highly enthusiastic, asserting they would arrive for discussions the following afternoon. With the holiday now underway, Chu Qianlan prepared to return home. Mom, I'm back. Upon entering the house, Chu Qianlan saw his mother seated in the living room, engrossed in a television drama. Li Yulian turned her head, and upon seeing her son, her face instantly lit up. You're back. Have you been busy at school? You seem to have lost weight. Let me prepare something delicious for you. As she spoke, she began to rise to head to the kitchen, but Chu Qianlan quickly intervened. Mom, there is no need to go through so much trouble. I've been well at school and haven't lost any weight. He joined her on the sofa and began discussing school and company matters with her. Naturally, he only shared the lighter and more amusing aspects, refraining from mentioning the incident involving Lin Qingxue. While they conversed, the front door swung open once more, and Chu Tianxiong stepped inside. Noticing Chu Qianlan at home, he expressed mild surprise. Why are you back today? Shouldn't you be at the company? Chu Qianlan smiled and rose. Dad, it's a holiday, and there isn't much going on at the company, so I came back. Chu Tianxiong sat down on the sofa, accepting the tea that Li Yulian handed him. I heard that your company is located in Nanshan Technology Park and has rented an entire floor. You only have about 20 to 30 employees. Is all that necessary? Chu Qianlan realized he could not hide his affairs from his father and quickly explained, Dad, don't be misled by the small number of employees. Our growth rate is rapid. In just 4 months, we've expanded from 10 to nearly 30 employees. By the end of the year, this entire floor may not suffice for our needs. Moreover, we turned a profit of over 2 million last month. Chu Qianxiong frowned slightly. That may be the case. But the rent is a significant expense, especially in Nanshan Technology Park, where the rent is evidently higher than surrounding office buildings. Chu Qian, note that our company operates in the online sector, which requires superior communication conditions. Nanshan Technology Park is well suited for us. Upon hearing this, Chu Tianxiong did not dwell on the matter. As long as you feel it is appropriate. I also heard that your internet cafe management system has been discounted. Does that mean you won't have any income next month? Next month, we will be launching a game, which is the true profit-generating project for our company. The first 2 software releases were merely preparatory steps for this game. Chu Qianlan's face revealed a hint of pride as he spoke. Since the inception of the company, he had been planning for this moment, and it was finally nearing fruition. The business world is akin to a battlefield. One should not speak too confidently without seeing results. It is essential to act prudently and always retain a fallback plan. Your mother and I faced numerous setbacks when we first arrived in Shenzhen to conduct business. Chu Tianxiong advis au stili. Chu Qianlan responded with a smile. Dad, didn't you ultimately succeed? Even failure can yield valuable lessons. Rest assured, I am quite prudent in my company dealings. The following afternoon, Zhao Yang, the head of Xinghai, arrived at the company. After a few pleasantries, Zhao Yang got straight to the point. President Chu, we at Xinghai are developing an online conferencing software and have encountered technical bottlenecks. Your company's Xingliao software boasts industry-leading multi-user voice technology, and we hope to establish a technical collaboration to incorporate this technology into our product. Upon hearing this, Chu Qian pondered internally. The market potential for online conferencing software is indeed vast. Its core technology revolves around multi-user voice communication. He currently possesses this technology, granting him considerable autonomy in terms of collaboration or even developing a similar software independently. However, if he could earn money without exerting himself, he would not hesitate to do so. What is your collaboration proposal? Chu Qianlan inquired with a hint of seriousness on his face. According to our company's vision, we aim to integrate the multi-user voice module into our software to enhance its market competitiveness. Additionally, we will support direct login to the conferencing software with Xingliao accounts. If feasible, we also hope to promote the software through your internet cafe management system. Zhao Yang enumerated their requests, completely oblivious to the contemplative expression on Chu Qianlan's face. Chapter 25. The Deceit in a Laboratory. Listening to Zhao Yang's demands, Chu Qianlan felt somewhat speechless. Xinghai not only sought technical support, but also assistance in promotion, ultimately allowing the use of Xingliao accounts for their software. They were merely presenting a product that had yet to be launched, and he wondered where they derived such audacity. If he were to agree to such a partnership, it would indeed become a laughingstock. Chu Qianlan bluntly asked, Mr. Zhang, you are requesting us to provide technical support and promote your software, but what can your company offer us in return? Do not mention the support for Xingliao account login. That does not constitute a contribution, but rather exploits our user resources. A flicker of embarrassment crossed Zhao Yang's face, but he quickly regained composure. President Chu, we can allocate 20% of the project as profits to cover the technical licensing fees. Chu Qianlan shook his head slightly. Mr. Zhao, your sincerity is evidently lacking. Everyone in the software industry understands the situation. Even if your online conferencing software is launched, it will not yield profits in the short term. The so-called 20% profit is merely a mirage. After a moment of contemplation, Zhao Yang gritted his teeth and proposed, President Chu, what if we offer 20% equity in the software to your company in exchange for the multi-user voice technology? Chu Qianlan's interest was piqued. Equity was indeed an appealing proposition, but he had no intention of acquiring equity in software. Mr. Zhao, let us forego the software equity. However, I would consider company equity. Nonetheless, we do not yet know enough about each other. Please return to your company and reconsider your terms. Chu Qianlan discerned that Xinghai was exceedingly eager for his technology, but lacked realistic expectations. Furthermore, he was only familiar with their company name and knew nothing about their operational status or personnel configuration, making it imprudent to engage in a deep collaboration at this juncture. A tinge of disappointment flitted across Zhao Yang's face. In that case, I will return to discuss this further, and then get back to you. After seeing Zhao Yang off, Chu Qianlan returned to his office, feeling that something was amiss. Su Feng, do any of our employees have relatives or friends in Modu? He casually inquired as Su Feng came over with documents. Sister Zhang from finance studied at a university in Modu, and I believe there is another staff member from Modu in our internal affairs, Su Feng replied. After some contemplation, Chu Qianlan decided to have Zhang Yu investigate Modu Chonglian. By 2 o'clock, he had assigned a task to Zhang Yu, and by 4 o'clock, he received feedback. Modu Chonglian had registered capital of 10 million and was in good operational standing. However, the company was a sales entity entirely unrelated to software development, and thus could not possibly be developing online conferencing software. Undoubtedly, he had been deceived. Yet, Chu Qianlan could not fathom the other party's true intentions. Upon discerning Zhao Ming's intentions, it becomes evident that his primary objective is to obtain authorization and support for the multi-party voice technology. Is this technology truly the sole aim of his pursuits? Although this programming technology is relatively advanced, there are not many applications that can effectively utilize it. Beyond instant messaging applications like Xingliao, the only other contender appears to be the network conferencing software mentioned by Zhao Yang. In the realm of instant messaging, the dominance of the tech giant, known colloquially as Goose Factory, is indisputable, and it is not surprising that they would take action against emerging competitors like Xingliao. As for the companies developing network conferencing solutions, it remains a mystery how many exist prior to the launch of any software. Upon returning home that evening, Chu Qianlan shared this matter with his father. Some issues do not necessitate uncovering the puppet masters. It is sufficient for those lurking in the shadows to understand that you remain unscathed. If there are profits to be gained, it is the puppet masters who ought to feel the turmoil within. After a moment of contemplation, Chu Tianxiong responded, "My son, what do you mean by that? I have indeed ensured that I am unscathed, but what do you imply by gaining profits?" Chu Qianlan's curiosity was piqued. Chu Tianxiong, however, spoke calmly. "Given that you possess core technology, you could certainly develop a network conferencing software on your own. If this reaches the ears of those pulling the strings, how might they react?" Upon hearing this, Chu Qianlan's eyes sparkled with realization. "Father, your insight is remarkable. With just one strategic move, you could induce them to seethe with frustration. The possession of multi-party voice technology makes the development of a conferencing software quite feasible. If the technical department operates at full capacity, it could be launched within a fortnight. Should the schemers targeting Chu Qianlan hail from Goose Factory, they would undoubtedly regret relinquishing this concept to him. Conversely, if the puppet masters are also in the network conferencing domain, their products would be utterly overshadowed by the software developed by Chu Qianlan, compelling them to start anew. With his father's strategy in hand, Chu Qianlan felt a sense of relief. The following morning, he retrieved a document from the company and made his way to the lithium battery laboratory. Li Yang had sent a message the previous night, indicating that all necessary equipment and materials were prepared and the laboratory was ready for experimentation. Upon arriving, Chu Qianlan found Li Yang and his team inspecting the equipment. To his surprise, Professor Zhang Mo was also present, assisting with 4 students. As soon as Li Yang noticed Chu Qianlan's entrance, he approached eagerly, his face radiating enthusiasm. "Mr. Chu, all the equipment has been calibrated and is awaiting your inspection. If everything is satisfactory, we can officially commence the experiments. Li, I have full confidence in your professional standards." Chu Qianlan replied, then turned to Professor Zhang Mo. "Professor Zhang, thank you for your assistance. You're too kind, Chu. I merely brought my students along for a learning experience. Such opportunities for equipment calibration are rare." Professor Zhang Montak responded politely. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, he departed with his students. Chu Qianlan then closely examined the laboratory's equipment alongside Li Yang. From high-precision analytical instruments to advanced experimental apparatus, each item was meticulously organized, and all metrics were within acceptable standards. "Li, this document contains the lithium battery electrolyte I requested to be validated. Some substances have already been assigned approximate ranges, while others require your experimentation to determine the optimal ratios." Chu Qianlan handed over the document. Li Yang flipped through a few pages, his expression turning to one of surprise. The experimental materials outlined bore little resemblance to the current lithium battery electrolyte composition. Aside from the critical lithium salts, which remained largely unchanged, the other solvents and additives had established chemical names, but would necessitate gradual experimentation to discover the ideal proportions. Fortunately, several substances had already been narrowed down in ratio, which would save him from numerous unnecessary trials. "Rest assured, Mr. Chu, we will adhere to your specifications and expedite the testing of the electrolyte's optimal composition," Li Yang declared earnestly while holding the document. After reminding Li Yong to prioritize safety during the experiments, Chu Qianlan returned to the company, where he was scheduled to interview a candidate in the afternoon. Chapter 26. Interview with Zhang Jinshan. Pros and cons at precisely 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Zhang Jinshan arrived at the company. Approximately in his 40s, he donned a well-fitted suit, exuding an air of composure and competence. After exchanging a few pleasantries in the conference room, Chu Qianlan steered the conversation towards the main topic. Manager Zhang, I have reviewed your resume and find your extensive experience in the mobile phone industry quite intriguing. I understand you have assisted in forming a research and development team with significant achievements. I would love to hear your unique insights and experiences in this regard. At this, a flicker of regret crossed Zhang Jinshan's eyes as he articulated clearly, Mr. Chu, from my professional perspective, the key to establishing an R&D team lies in precisely identifying the right leader. As the core of the team, this individual must not only possess robust technical skills, but also embody innovative thinking and a spirit of collaboration. Chu Qianlan nodded slightly, agreeing with his perspective. In your opinion, what are the primary technological development trends currently shaping the mobile phone industry? What recommendations might you offer for our company to make its mark in this sector? After a moment of contemplation, Zhang Jinshan responded earnestly. The emergence of the smartphone has redefined mobile technology. Future mobile devices should evolve from the current smartphone models, focusing on intelligent capabilities, high performance, and multifunctionality. At this juncture, he cast a glance at Chu Qianlan and continued, as far as I know, Xinghai Technology is merely a software development company and has no ties to the mobile phone industry. If you aspire to enter this field, it may prove quite challenging. If Mr. Chu is determined, the first step would be to assemble a product R&D team capable of developing a commercially viable mobile phone based on existing components in the market. As for chip development and other hardware, given Xinghai Technology's current scale, it is premature to engage in such endeavors. Although Zhang Jinshan's candid assessment of their limited capabilities could be perceived as disheartening, Chu Qianlan remained unfazed. A small company with limited funds was indeed a shortcoming. Had he possessed billions in capital, he would have already made significant strides in the realm of smartphone technology. With the support of a technological library, he could surely produce most components of a smartphone within a year. However, even with his father's wealth, the capital at his disposal barely reached several million. Chu Qianlan continued to inquire about the nuances of team formation and talent recruitment, to which Zhang Jinshan provided satisfactory answers. As the interview drew to a close, Chu Qianlan remarked, Manager Zhang, your capabilities and experiences align remarkably well with our company's needs. Do you have any questions regarding our organization? And are you interested in joining our team? Zhang Jinshan pondered for a moment before questioning, prior to my arrival here, I believed Xinghai Technology was an internet company. However, your discourse has been heavily focused on smartphones, leading me to wonder why you possess such confidence in establishing a foothold in the mobile industry. He did not inquire about the company's specifics, but sought to understand the mindset of its leader, Chu Qianlan. Manager Zhang, my father owns a smartphone assembly factory in Huiqiangbei, which provides me with a natural advantage in this industry. As for Xinghai Technology, our current software development is also a means of accumulating capital in preparation for upcoming R&D endeavors. Weighing his words carefully, Chu Qianlan decided to leverage his father's influence, presenting it as an advantage. Upon hearing this explanation, Zhang Jinshan's expression reflected a thoughtful consideration. Mr. Chu, your father's assembly factory indeed represents a significant advantage. However, the mobile phone industry is fiercely competitive. Relying solely on this advantage will not suffice. With a confident smile, Chu Qianlan remarked, although Xinghai Technology may not be large, our programming capabilities are such that even the titans of the internet cannot claim to overshadow us. The 2 programs we have released online remain uncracked to this day. Our independently developed mini-games are about to launch, and they will serve as our primary source of funding. By the end of the year, this game will generate profits of at least 50 million. Zhang Jinshan, upon hearing this, displayed a look of astonishment. President Chu, your confidence is truly admirable. The company I am currently employed at has lost all hope of revival, and I have been actively seeking new opportunities. Since you have the ambition to enter the mobile industry, I am willing to strive once more. In truth, he had undergone several interviews previously with satisfactory results, but he hesitated to leave the mobile sector, which is why he had not accepted any offers. His decision to interview at Xinghai Technology stemmed from a headhunter suggestion that this company might venture into mobile-related business in the future. He agreed to join Xinghai Technology, primarily because he valued Chu Qianlan's vision for entering the mobile industry, and secondly, he appreciated the emphasis placed on technology. After all, His current company had fallen into difficulties due to neglecting this crucial aspect. In Zhang Jinshan's view, even if Chu Qianlan were to fail in the mobile sector, Xinghai Technology would still stand firm in the internet realm due to its commitment to technological advancement. Seeing Zhang Jinshan agree to join Xinghai Technology filled Chu Qianlan with elation. Manager Zhang, with your addition, Xinghai Technology will undoubtedly soar to new heights. How long do you anticipate your handover at your current company will take? I would like to arrange the subsequent tasks in advance. After a moment of contemplation, Zhang Jinshan replied, at most. I will need 2 weeks to wrap up my current responsibilities. Chu Qianlan nodded with a smile. Then I shall await your onboarding, Manager Zhang. As for your salary, we will adhere to your expected compensation. I am looking to assemble a team to begin developing an operating system. So if you have a suitable candidate for a lead, please do recommend them. A glimmer of surprise flashed in Zhang Jinshan's eyes. He was quite pleased with the salary conditions offered by Chu Qianlan. The audacity of President Chu is truly commendable. The head of operating system development requires a seasoned system architect. I will inquire about this upon my return, and I should have news soon. Confirming Zhang Jinshan's forthcoming employment excited Chu Qianlan considerably. With such a personnel manager on board, recruiting talent in the mobile sector would become considerably more manageable. The development of the operating system was now on the agenda, signifying his official foray into the mobile industry. To expedite the operating system's development, Chu Qianlan decided to allocate the Ziguang